we're back.
Stacy. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting back to order, guys. We're in a closed session meeting and have a report out from our Adam, a lawyer. Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the community, and staff. The City Council met in closed session this evening at 5 o'clock to discuss an item of anticipated litigation with Litigation Counsel, and I received I received information from them, and they provided direction to me.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that. All right, and adjourn that meeting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the next meeting to order. Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Pulapati, which I don't know has rejoined us yet. So she might still be coming on. Councilmember Budge?
Here.
Councilmember Sander?
Here.
Vice Mayor Terry will be absent. I still don't see Councilmember Pulapati as of right now, and Mayor Gatewood.
Here. All right, Stacy, can you read the TV announcement, please, and Cable Metro?
The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air on Thursday, October 21st at 9 a.m. and Sunday, October 24th at 6 p.m. The meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. A DVD copy can also be ordered from the City Clerk's Department, and a webcast of this meeting will also be available on the city's website within 48 hours of adjournment of this meeting.
All right,
And Siri has just rejoined.
great. All right, do I need to read the playback schedule again?
Yes. After, no, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Huh?
Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. All right, so everyone stand, and can I get Russ to come up and give the Pledge of Allegiance? To
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. And if I could have Dr. Colette Charles come for the invocation, please.
Dr. Charles is available via Zoom.
Excellent.
And I've just unmuted you. Dr. Charles, are you there?
Hello?
Hi there, we see you on the screen.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Good evening to the council members and those that are in the lobby. If we could bow before we go into prayer. Thank you. Most gracious and loving Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and guidance as we gather together. We pray for direction in the matters at hand and ask that you would impart into all members of the council the spirit of joy, enthusiasm, and excellence. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amidst the conflicts, interests, and issues of our time, confidence in what is good and fitting, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda that has been set before them this evening. Please give an assurance of what you would want and what would benefit those that live and work in the and around our beautiful and beloved Rancho Cordova. All of this has been asked with a humble heart and a humble spirit for the city and council members of Rancho Cordova. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Charles, and I certainly hope those beautiful roses are something you get to enjoy every day in your own garden.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to presentations. I'm going to call Russ up from Neighborhood Services, the presentation on our new probation officer and probation update with Sacramento County Probations. Welcome.
Well, good evening, Mayor Gatewood, council, council members, staff. Russ Ducharme, Neighborhood Services Manager, here to introduce a new member of our Neighborhood Services team and also provide you with a brief update on the probation partnership. So Deputy Probation Officer Christina Sanchez has been with the Probation Department for over 19 years and comes to the city from the Family DV unit where she was there for just over a year. Deputy Sanchez's new assignment started in August, and she is backfilling a vacancy that was created by promotions within our team. At this time, I'd like to ask Deputy Sanchez to introduce herself and provide you with some additional background.
Good evening, everyone. Like Russ said, my name is Christina Sanchez. I'm a Deputy Probation Officer with Sacramento County. It is an honor to be here tonight. There were several officers that had applied for this position in the City of Rancho Cordova Neighborhood Services. I was the one that was selected. I'm proud to be here representing our department. Not many officers have the opportunity to be a part of a collaborative program where you interact with animal services and code enforcement. So I'm very, very happy to be here and meet Mayor Gatewood, City Council, and the other members of the Rancho Cordova community. Thank you very much.
Welcome, congratulations.
Well, thank you. If Officer Bernard could come up, now we'll do the presentation. So just a little bit of history on Officer Marcel Bernard. He's been assigned to the city since 2017. For the past 4 years, he's provided the neighborhood services team and the police department with great support, leading and participating in a variety of operations and programs, assisting on various inspections while also managing probationers within the city. So Marcel.
Thank you, Russ. Mayor Gatewood, City Council members, good evening, and thank you for having us here today. We would like to take this opportunity to provide you with an update on probation's contributions and responsibilities in the partnership. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Just give her a second. She's
Okay, thank you. I am Senior Deputy Probation Officer Marcel Bernard, and I work alongside Deputy Probation Officer Cristina Sanchez. We are the two Deputy Probation Officers assigned to the partnership. Next slide, please. The partnership entities include the Sacramento County Probation Department, Rancho Cordova Neighborhood Services, including code enforcement, animal services, Sacramento Self-Help Housing, and the Rancho Cordova Police Department. Next slide, please. The goals of the partnership include fostering a positive image for the city, ensuring the availability of best public services, reducing recidivism, ensuring a safe community, and promoting responsible citizenship. Next slide, please. As probation officers, our duties include community supervision of the various probation populations. We conduct probation compliance investigations. We provide support and field activity to the partnership entities, and we share vital public safety information. Next slide, please. Support provided to Neighborhood Services Division includes information sharing, records checks such as criminal history inquiries, residential and property record checks, vehicle record checks, case staffing and review, on-scene field support in the community, and officer safety support. Next slide, please. The various units that we assist amongst the Rancho Cordova Police Department include the Problem-Oriented Police Unit, Crime Suppression Unit, Patrol, Detectives, and allied agencies. Next slide, please. Some of the common tasks provided to the Rancho Cordova Police Department include information sharing, on-scene field support, field assistance, arrest authorization, mitigation to calls for service, community presence, public safety support, and support in community events and charities. Next slide, please. At the partnership, we also provide comprehensive training to newly armed probation officers. Here, officers are provided with training in field operations. Officers gain multi-agency exposure. Officers learn how to collaborate with allied agencies. And most importantly, officers become valuable team members to the entities that we work with. Next slide, please. In this picture here, this is 2 incidents related to bicycle theft. In this picture, I like to show how working in the partnership works for the community. On the picture on the left here, with the assistance of code enforcement, we were able to recover these 2 bicycles for this mother and daughter. Picture on the right, with the assistance of the Rancho Cordova Police Department, we were able to recover this bicycle to this man. Next slide, please. Probation's long-term objectives in the partnership include continuing to strengthen the bonds and relationship with Rancho Cordova Neighborhood Services and the Rancho Cordova Police Department, providing consistent reinforcement of the terms of probation alongside public safety realignment and community supervision, utilizing client accountability to shape undesirable behavior, crime reduction, and collectively enhancing the community image in the city of Rancho Cordova. Next slide, please. On behalf of the Sacramento County Probation Department and the probation officers that have provided services to the city for the past 10 years, it is our honor to continue to serve the city of Rancho Cordova. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Garrett, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may. Sorry, that wasn't fast enough. I'm just joking. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know what arrest authorization entails.
Those would include the various populations that we have, the informal probationers. Formal probationers usually require an authorization for 1203 of the Penal Code violation of probation if they're in technical infraction of their conditions. And sometimes if the arresting officer has a fresh offense, we would incorporate that 1203.2 PC code as a hold at the Sacramento County Jail. Also, with the post-release community supervision clientele, those also would incorporate an arrest authorization on 3454C of the Penal Code for flash incarceration period for failure to obey all laws. So the different various populations that we have different technicals that are applied to them when they are found to be in violation in the community, and most importantly, failure to obey all laws.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys, again.
Thank you.
All right. Can I please have my favorite people from chat come up? Good to see you guys. All right. This is one of my favorite groups. I get to do a city proclamation, which is awesome. The city of Rancho Cordova recognizes chat in honor of their 25th anniversary, October 18th, 2021. Whereas 1996, 12 students with hearing loss began a journey to start a program called Children of Choice for the hearing and talking, known as the Chat Center. The small center did not have track records for success, but it had a dream and staff dedicated to helping the students to become successful in avenues of life. Now, 25 years later, and obviously this time successful, the Children of Chat are very first-class adults who have become thriving, contributing members of society. Chat serves over roughly 60 students every year on campus, hundreds more in mainstream services in the surrounding school district area. Chat works with over 26 different school districts and parents and infants in the county program. The children use hearing aids, cochlear, so close, implants to listen to develop spoken language. With intensive classroom instructions, individual therapies, sounds began to take on meaning for the children, to learn to think about what they are hearing as the spoken language develops. Children from birth through third grade are enrolled with the goal of becoming competent oral communication and achieve successful mainstreaming in neighborhoods and schools, often by kindergarten or first grade. Whereas October is National Auditory Awareness Month, the American Academy of Audiology started Audiology Awareness Month in 2008 as a means of bringing awareness and hearing health and importance of hearing protection. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the city of Rancho Cordova is proud to be the home of the Chat Center, very proud, especially I did the little race around, that was me, and bring awareness to the importance of work of audiologists and programs to serve children and the hard of hearing. I have set my seal. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, moving on. Next page. Oh, skipping that. Next thing. All right. It is a birthday of the mayor. Usually it involves carrot cake and balloons and amazingness. But, of course, my counsel is on screen and makes me sad. So we don't have to sing the birthday unless Siri wants to sing it.
I think, Mr. Mayor, we should, if that's okay.
Oh, are you going to mouth it?
Absolutely, you would like to
No.
sing.
Siri is singing it, though. That's
I
a
know,
nice
I
innovation.
This is going to be rough.
And I'll be like, hey,
All
Siri,
right,
can you
I
sing
want
happy
cake, but that's
birthday?
all right. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Garrett. Happy birthday to
Thank you.
you.
Woo! Oh,
Here, Garrett, see my screen.
oh, thank you. That's so awesome. Whew, that was amazing. Thank
great
you all
birthday,
there for
but
trying
that
to
was truly
carry
horrible.
my council members. That's something I'm never going to forget, no matter how much I drink and try. All right. All right.
That may have been the worst rendition we've ever done.
That was up there. That was up there. All right. Citizens wishing
Raucous would be the good word.
Citizens wishing to address the council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time via teleconference or by submitting a speaker card to the city clerk. This is where you guys want to drop that off with Stacy. If you want to make public comment via teleconference, please press the raise hand feature at the bottom center of the screen. If you're participating by telephone and you want to make a public comment, please press *9 and raise your hand. For those participating by Zoom or by telephone, please wait to be called upon by the city clerk, Stacy. For items on the agenda, speakers may be called upon by the mayor at this point in the agenda when the item is heard. If speakers are encouraged to keep their comments for 3 minutes or less and state the name and community of residence, under the provision of the California Government Code, City Council is prohibited from discussing or taking immediate action on an item not on the agenda unless it be demonstrated of the emergency nature or the need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Stacy, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
We have a couple of speakers in the room. I'm first going to call up Helen Fredericks. Helen, you'll have up to 3 minutes to address the council. Following Helen will be Robert Sanger and Philip Cooley, and then I will go to the telephone and to Zoom.
Thank you, Council. I wanted to take the opportunity to speak to the Council again, and I want to speak to you about space rent increase at Mobile Country Club. We just received our first notice of another notice of increase of $39, putting space rent up to $879. For my husband and I, this is the 5th rent we've had in 4.5 years. Each rent increase makes it harder for seniors and veterans on fixed incomes to make ends meet and pushes more out of their homes because of economic eviction. In addition, Mobile Country Club is going through upgrading their gas lines and moving residents from a master meter system to direct billing with PG&E. This is a California Public Utilities Commission program and reimburses park owners for most upgrade costs and states on their website that residents should incur only minor costs. MCC hired West Coast Construction to handle the behind-the-meter work and to test the old and new systems. When the test is done, residents are told if leaks are present. Currently, most are getting bills of $250 to $500. I heard $600 one time. Most of the leaks have been on the existing gas lines, which is strange because no one knew of a gas leak before, no one smelled gas. The residents are given a utility upgrade waiver and release agreement, which releases Mobile Country Club and the parent company stores of all and any liabilities. It also sets up a repayment plan where Mobile Country Club pays the repairs and the residents agree to repay the amount in monthly installments, which is added to their space rent bill. If the resident does not sign the agreement, the leaks are not repaired and the gas is turned off until the resident hires their own contractor to come in and make the repairs. Many have signed under duress and now face monthly increases. Well, with the rent raise, it'll be $90 to $100 increase starting in February. Once again, seniors and veterans are being pushed out of their homes by investors who care nothing about the residents and only about the dollar sign. I hope that soon Rancho Cordova will have the space rent ordinance in place to protect the seniors and veterans in the parks. I thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Robert Sanger and Philip Cooley. I don't know if you're coming separately or together. You'll have 3 minutes together.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Rancho Cordova City Council members. My name is Robert Sanger, and I'm the Executive Director for the Folsom Cordova Community Partnership. I'm joined here by Pastor Philip Cooley of the Cordova Neighborhood Church. And about a year ago, I came before council sharing with you that in partnership with Sacramento County, the Folsom Cordova Community Partnership started to operate one of the community COVID-19 testing sites here in Rancho Cordova. I wanted to just come about a year later just to share with you a little bit about how many tests we've done and just continue to encourage community members who are still in need of that service that we are still open and we are still operating. So just to share with you, as of this past Tuesday, because we operate 1 day a week, we are just 11 tests shy of 18,000 tests administered here in our community. So we thought that was a pretty impressive number and wanted to share that with City Council. We wanted to also publicly thank Cordova Neighborhood Church for their partnership because we actually operate the testing site on their church campus. And without that partnership, it would have been very difficult to be able to offer this service in the heart of our community where we feel our residents can get to that testing site easiest. In addition to that, we continue to offer COVID resource support, and we are also adding to that vaccine ambassadorship in partnership with Sacramento County and the state of California. We've gotten some really good data that really allows us to hone in on neighborhoods and areas where vaccine administration is low so that we can target those specific communities, those specific neighborhoods with information as well as an opportunity to provide factual information about vaccines for hopefully our community to administer them. So, and I'll just publicly thank Pastor Phil. When we called him to say we're looking for a space not too far away from where our original testing site was, the church jumped right on board and partnered, and we're just really excited to have them.
Yeah, Mayor Gatewood, council members and staff, it's good to be here. We have always loved serving our community, and we were really lamenting the disruption of COVID. We were worshiping remotely, and we weren't able to serve in our normal ways. So when Director Sanger called us and said, hey, can we use your building, we jumped at it. So we have loved to serve them and serve our community and serve my family. We've got tested there. It's very, very easy. So we would encourage anyone that needs testing to come on Tuesdays. You will be welcome and served well.
Every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service. Thank you, Pastor.
We have additional members of the public who'd like to speak. I'm going to start with the caller with telephone number 916-804. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Hello all, this is Faiza Mughal in Lincoln Village.
Hi, Faiza.
And I'm calling to, hey, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Calling to, you're welcome, strongly urge you guys to please, please, please do more for the Coloma Road project. Its current iteration does not have any kind of vertical separation between bikes in the car lanes. The speeds are very high. And I went out there today to take a look at it during like school drop-off time. There are so many safety situations with the students, including sidewalks that are not nearly wide enough to accommodate kids. I mean, I had kids jumping off the sidewalk to get out of my way just to make room for me, which was respectful, but super dangerous. Kids riding in very dangerous situations in the bike lane. A hot mess with whatever was done at Delceto. I call it bingo because the ped refuges, like BINGO, you have to hit like 4 or 5 corners before you can fully cross right there. So much is needed and so much more should be done than just painting lines. And pardon my French, but I don't want to see a half-assed project. I would love to see something really special done for Coloma Road. And further north of the school, beyond McGregor, like there's work that needs to be done there. I'm seeing lots of dense multifamily housing and then markets across the street. And you have like 4 or 5 lanes. If you want to get to the markets, you've got to jaywalk across with super fast moving cars and no mid-block crossings. It doesn't make sense. And I'm pretty sure lots of people are jaywalking there. You should be making it easy for people to get to food. And so there's so much more that can be done. There's room for more. And I would love to see us be more ambitious with this plan and support community members living active lifestyles and being safe out there, not just how can we slow down cars and how can we also accommodate cars and move them through. I want to see you focus on people, pedestrians, cyclists, people of all ability levels out there. As my friend Bob Van Cleef would say, let's support kids that are 8 and adults who are 80 being able to move through those spaces as well. So that's my piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Faiza.
The next speaker is Alicia Brown. Alicia, I've unmuted you and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to comment. My name is Alicia Brown. I'm representing Walk Sacramento, which is a nonprofit organization focused on improving health and quality of life through active transportation and community development. And I actually wanted to reiterate Faiza's amazing comments about the Coloma Road Improvement Plan. We would love to also see something that really focuses on people of all ages and abilities, people using all modes of travel. So we really truly appreciate the city and your dedication to moving forward and studying this Coloma Road Improvement Plan. We actually supported the city in developing the Safe Routes to School Master Plan that was adopted in 2020. And through this process, heard from parents, students, and several school communities about the dangers of crossing Coloma Road and also walking and biking along Coloma Road. And there are about 8 schools ranging from elementary to high school level located within half a mile of Coloma Road. And so we really strongly urged for the city to push for a bolder strategy that does include things like buffered or protected bike lanes, safer crossing opportunities, wider sidewalks, and traffic calming measures to be able to better support the health and safety of all road users, but especially those who are most vulnerable to traffic injuries and fatalities, such as children, youth, and older adults. So thank you so much for consideration of our comments, and we look forward to continuing to stay involved through this process.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else via Zoom or telephone that would like to raise their hand? No. All right, Mayor Gatewood.
All right, I'm going to go to council reports and start with Siri Pulpati.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. I like being first. These 2 weeks were pretty eventful in terms of I got to meet a lot of residents. There were a lot of outdoor activities, starting with the Good Neighbor Day event. This was an event that I attended. It was at White Rock Park. There was tons of food, free barbecue, and in attendance were RCPD, Republic Services. There was free COVID testing as well as free vaccinations that, if anybody in Rancho Cordova or your friends and family or anybody has not had it yet, please take advantage of this. This was an event that was put together in collaboration with many agencies, FPPC, and many other agencies. This was an event that is kind of by the people, for the people, and it would have been nice to see a lot more residents utilize a lot of these services. That evening, an event I attended was Batkama. This is the Festival of Flowers hosted by Sacramento Telangana Association, partly by the Community Enhancement Funds. Mayor Gatewood and I were there. So basically, the thing about this is they have a lot of unique crafts. They do a flower kind of a tower. And the flowers that I used at this festival, they have a great quality of purifying water. And usually when these flowers are immersed in water, they have this effect of cleansing the water and making the environment a lot better. And see, when our ancestors could think of such things a long, long time ago, I think we should also think about things about how we, conserve water and think about, our nature for our betterment. I attended the Mayfair Veterans Dedication. This was another well-attended, and it was an eagerly awaited housing. The one that I attended, phase 2, comes after phase 3. It provides, it was my understanding is it provided permanent housing for about 50 people that are formerly homeless and disabled veterans, and this was a long time coming. I'm sure a lot of my council members will add more to this, but it definitely, hearing the stories of the veterans that was there, it was heartening. Last weekend, I attended the Family Fall Festival. I took my kids there, and they really enjoyed the informational and educational booths. I love it when, the kids are really involved and they get to know more about the flora and fauna about local Rancho Cordova. They came back more educated about our area. And the weather was really great yesterday afternoon. In the evening, I attended the Canada Sangha picnic. This was at Heron Landing Park. It was a meet and greet by the Canada Association. They too had yummy food, and I got to meet a lot of folks who spoke about their nonprofits, their ideas and projects, and about giving back to the community. One of the things that I did pass on to that association is to meet with our city services and use our city resources, because of what they're doing. It can be implemented with the best ROI. And towards the end of the day, it got so breezy. That was what it was. So that closed that, but I passed on what I had to pass. So city staff, they will be reaching out to you. That is my update.
Excellent. Thank you, Siri. David.
Yes, I've got very brief updates. So I missed, unfortunately, some of those great events that Siri just mentioned last Saturday, because I was at a USATF meeting down in the Bay Area that kept me down there most of the day. But we came back with good results. So USATF is the USA Track and Field Organization, the Olympic Committee for Track and Field. They also organize all the other track and field leagues and divisions around the country. And you remember last year we were able to host a meet for them and another meet, the Golden West Invitational at Cordova High, thanks to the city's participation in upgrading some facilities there. So this year we followed up trying to get more track meets at Cordova High for 2 reasons. One, that means there are more opportunities for our kids here in Rancho Cordova to participate in those, because they don't have to travel somewhere to do it. The meet's held here. 2, we get economic benefit because these meets bring people in to Rancho Cordova. So there were 4 meets up for grabs at that particular meeting, and we got 3 of them, which is a pretty remarkable result. It's because we've got really great facilities and a really great partnership that happened. So the beauty of this is that we're also going to have a 4th meet, the Golden West Invitational. That's a very famous meet. We'll be here again. Each of these, by the way, brings something like 2,000 to 2,500, even 3,000 kids to the track meet. And if you just do some back of the envelope calculation, you're doing 4 meets like this with that sort of attendance and where are these kids coming from? 80% of them are not from here, for example. You end up with $40,000 or $60,000 in economic impact to the city just through our share of the hotel tax. That doesn't measure, dollars going to hotels, which would be many, many times that, or local restaurants or anything else. So it's an interesting feedback loop on what our investment was to upgrade those facilities. And I think we need to sort of keep track of that with regard to other athletic partnerships like this that we might want to consider in the future. So there's going to be those 3 additional meets plus the Golden West meet. That is a tremendous opportunity for the Rancho Cordova Track Club this year and for athletes at Cordova High and our middle schools, because, as I mentioned before, the Junior Olympics are going to be held at Sacramento State this year. So this is a particularly important year, and it just revs and opens up all these opportunities for our kids to participate in something normally they'd have to fly across the country to do and would be economically impossible for a lot of them. So it's pretty exciting. We've got a lot of great stuff going on with youth sports in Rancho Cordova and our increasingly great facilities. Girls softball, for example, has pretty much been recognized now as having the premier location for softball in Northern California at their complex at Mills Middle School.
Yeah.
We contributed $3 million, I think, out of the $7 million total cost. The other $4 million came out of a negotiation between, well, me and us with the school district way back when that bond was passed. But it's done, it's open, and really performing great. And of course, we've got Little League improvements in hand and on the way, and other things we're going to do to continue supporting opportunities for our youth, not to mention the new youth center that's coming. So it's all about opportunities for our kids, and we're having some great progress out there. I should also mention, we've got some very special coaches right now acting in support of our kids at Cordova High School, and remarkable things happen when you've got a truly engaged coach. So, for example, Josh Groover, who is the head cross-country coach there, has just been a rainmaker in terms of activities. These track meets are here because of his interest and his involvement, and he has landed a national meet this weekend that will have, I think, probably some really great media associated with it. So it's Hoka. You guys are familiar with Hoka shoes? Hoka shoes.
Yep.
They are hosting they call it the Postal Nationals at Cordova High this weekend. And in the old days, apparently in the cross-country world, kids all over the country would race locally, and then they would mail in their results to a virtual meet, because they couldn't all come together in the nation to figure out who the national cross-country champions were, team or individuals. So they called a postal meet, like you have to, use the postal service to turn in your results. Well, now we don't have to do that, but they're still having like this historic postal style meet. So it's going to be hundreds of kids running 2-mile runs at Cordova High this Saturday, with a lot of really fun media attention. So if you get a chance, stop by. You might want to check that out. It won't be as giant as these other track meets I'm talking about, but it will still be bigger than any sort of normal meet. So thanks to those good people, Josh Groover, the other coaches at Cordova High. They are really, really killing it for us.
All right.
Is there any particular time, David, to go to these meets? Or I know it starts at 8,
Yeah,
8
typically at 8. I'm guessing on Saturday, I don't know, you'd have to multiply out how many times you have kids running 2-mile runs, but it probably wouldn't finish till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, is my guess.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, David.
That's my report.
So the only thing I want to talk about is the Mather Veterans Village, and it was one of those events that has become really special and really important after the last 18 months, because it was an opportunity to see a lot of people who have come together to celebrate an accomplishment that took at least 8 years. Everything that was said that day about the difficulty in getting money to fund something that is actually a national priority, and which is so ironic. It should not be that way. And Garrett, I absolutely loved what you said when we were talking to the people from HCD, Housing and Community Development. They said they were so happy. Well, and you said, if we can have more money, we'll be happier. And that was a really great thing to say. There is no question that there are now over 150 veterans who are comfortably housed at Mather Veterans Village. This is not a plan. This is not a wish. This is not something that's on the drawing board. This is something that is real, and it is making a difference in people's lives. And it was an opportunity to see not only so many of those people who are able to take advantage of it, but to see longtime friends who came to celebrate it, and was extremely rewarding. And so in that context, I would also ask that we adjourn tonight in the memory of General Colin Powell, who passed away today. And he has come to Sacramento twice to make speeches which are very inspirational. It's one of those things where I took notes the entire time. And I actually, in the years that the Metro Chamber did perspectives, David, you remember? I actually have a picture on the wall here with myself and General Powell. And I truly appreciate that and treasure it. And I would ask that we adjourn in his honor tonight.
Thank you, Linda.
And Garrett, you did a great job at that opening.
You did.
Don't act so surprised.
Yep.
Somewhat delayed because obviously it's been open for a while, but sort of like girls softball complex, right? We get around to these things in due time, given the COVID crisis.
Right.
So I'll take it from here. So here's everything I've been doing. Whew. Okay, first we're gonna start off with, there is a pumpkin giveaway charity October 22nd in Anatolia. So if you guys are hurting for pumpkins, please come by. I want to thank Rex Barn and Ronnie Alkinson from the Western Swing Society. More to come, but what I've learned is that kids can't dance anymore. And Texas swing, because I'm a swinger, that's wrong. Texas swing and disco swing, my wife and I learned how to do that in college, and so we're big on that. And so I would love to see kids be able to go out and swing. I think it's a very important thing to learn. Dancing is very important, to be able to, lead and be able to be led, and all the stuff that comes with it is amazing. And so I'm hoping to reintegrate that, and maybe some of my schools and stuff will come alongside me. But they're totally willing. They're stepping out. They have so many famous country swing artists, and they showed up today at the council chamber in like boots and hats, and I was like, what area Rancho is this? So that's awesome. So excited about them. I met with Sergio Diaz. We talked about all sorts of things with the city. I got pictures in front of the Sacramento Fire Cancer Engine. That was awesome. Good for SportNet, making people awareness of cancer, because a lot of that getting your checks and stuff has gone way down due to COVID, but cancer hasn't gone anywhere, and we want to stay on top of that. We are hiring a replacement for Rivka, which can never be done. But we have lots of people. We'll have, I think, a day and a half of interviews coming up here, which I'll be involved in, to decide on who's going to be the best fit for the Sacramento Library Association. I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe 7 coffees with the mayor, where I went out to different locations throughout the city, asked my citizens to meet me there to go over projects, get their opinions, direction, and what they want, because I wanted to make sure that everyone in my community felt like they had been heard about the projects that were going on. So I took some family time, took some business time, really stepped out and tried to meet them everywhere where I could. So I just want to say thank you for everyone that showed up. Big shout out to, of course, my friend Fiza and the Cachettes, and anyone else that was willing to come there and have coffee with me and talk about the great things or the things you're looking for in the city. I went to Good Neighbor event. As you can hear, these are all back to back to back in one day. The Good Neighbor event was awesome. It's great to see citizens out there. It was cool talking to some of the churches. They had pop-up churches on the actually the lawn, which was interesting. They have citizens engaged in that park, and it was great to see everybody. Thank you for everyone that came out to that event. My favorite festival, Anil, the Sacramento Talagana Association and Festival of Flowers. Thank you so much for keeping it in the city. It seems like the park we went to this year was made for the Talagana Association, because it has a circle, and they can put it in the middle. And usually we had to have it at a school and go in a circle, and this one was built that way. So that was a great event. I wanted to go to, and I had everything planned, but of course, something got in the way, but travel time for the Wounded Warrior event. So for one of the people that Mark Stasiak was with, they did a ceremony for them at the river, and that was amazing. So thank you for the citizens that were willing to put that together for our wounded officers. I was truly honored to be blessed to be able to talk at the Mather Veteran Village. It's so unique to see something that my city's fought for probably since the inception, to see it come to fruition. This is purely Bob McGarvey, 100%. The father of the city, and with his citizens, were able to put together something that is not done in anywhere else in the region. No one was smart enough to put a veteran center next to housing for homeless vets and transitional housing. And it's just not done anywhere else. And I said, that's cool, because I had all the big wigs in the room, and I was like, you should just call it the Rancho Cordova way. We take care of our soldiers. And so they're like, that's catchy. I was like, yeah. But it just makes sense to have the housing next to the VA hospital. And the cool part about it was, they said it even helps sometimes to have the planes there, because it's something with the comfort zone with them. So just everything lined up there, and it looks beautiful. And I talked to all our vets that came out, and it's fun how they're engaging themselves. And honestly, they're not trying to stay there, which is because I don't want them just to live there. I want them to engage with us. So I don't want it to be just a fancy place for them to live. I want them back in our community. And a lot of them are pulling themselves by their own bootstraps. Once they're getting clean, getting the medication they need, they're getting back out in the community. I've heard of like 6 of them I talked to that are now no longer living there, that are starting cool projects up. And so it was great to see all of them. I'm honored. Thank you, Rancho Cordova citizens, for letting me to basically talk about that. I had so little to do with it, but I'll take the credit. I went and talked at the Lincoln Village. It was great seeing FISA and the group there. We were talking about the ways that we can help out the city. Turning Point, which is an amazing community event group, that what they do, it's a nonprofit, and they just sit there and they help out people suffering from issues on the psychological level, and they help them to return and grow and get better. And what an amazing group to have 45 years in the city of Rancho Cordova. They started with a little teeny group of like 6. They knew Donna Tolley. I talked with them, and it was interesting to hear how their progressions, and they're another amazing gem inside the city of Rancho Cordova. I mean, really, you can't find, we're so unique because we have so much business district here. There's just so many unique businesses helping out citizens in this area. Lastly, I went to the Fall Festival. Was put on by everyone over there. I talked with, of course, Sergio and some others, went around and saw this amazing piece of property that we have. Rancho Cordova, if you don't already know this, we have every amenity you can think of. We have our own airport. We have our own river that runs through us. We have beautiful landscape along the sides, and it's just amazing to see this. My kids were brought in. We talked to them. My kids thought, because they gave them a bag and they were next to some ducks, that meant that we were able to capture ducks. So I had to have a long talk with them that don't go out and try to catch ducks in the American River. They were certain that that's what this was about. So we had a long discussion about that, and not to bring back a endangered duck or a red-tailed fox or a red-tailed hawk, that would be just like them. It has been rewarding to go around to see all my citizens, and I think necessary for us politicians to come out there and see you guys. So I'm hoping to do more and more of this. I want to hear from you guys. We're not in just this echo chamber. My citizens, I care what you guys have to say. And that being said, city manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to be brief. You all have mentioned about the Mather Veterans Village. First of all, I want to thank the council for their vision, and also acknowledge the good work of some of the staff members. The vision started with Reed Flory with the support of the council. And when he did retire in 2016, Stefan Heisler picked up the mantle, and he did a great job to bring that to completion, to fruition. But it's been a very long project. It's extremely tedious. It involved many, many agencies at the federal, state, and local level, including some of the nonprofits, the operational. It required the land dedication. We needed to provide the funding support. So it truly took a village to build that village. And I appreciate the support of the council and the work that staff had done. I was also able to attend the monthly luncheon that's organized by Cordova Community Council and our Chamber of Commerce. Mike Luca was the speaker. And if I may, I want to put in a plug. This luncheon is held on third Fridays of every month, and they have outstanding group of speakers that present. So I encourage you and ask you if you're able to please try to attend those meetings. We also, another event that's coming up, it's the State of the City. That's scheduled for November 3rd here at the City Hall. Our mayor will be providing a report on the accomplishments of the city and the plans that we have been able to finish. So hope that you all can attend that meeting. And lastly, I wanted to also mention that our Chief of Police, Kate Adams, retired a little while ago, and we went through a fairly lengthy process and a very involved process to find and appoint our next Chief of Police. We contract with the Sacramento County Sheriffs for the services, and we have a process, and they give us the names of some of the captains to go to work with. And we had 4 candidates to interview, and we have selected Brandon Luke, who would serve as the Chief of Police for the city of Rancho Cordova. And I have invited Brandon to attend this council meeting on November 1st, and he will be officially introduced to the city council and to the community. So that's really a great, look forward to working with Brandon. He's a great choice for us. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Consent calendar items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration. All items may be approved in by one motion. Stacy, is there, call on Stacy for an update.
So the city clerk's office has an update with regards to item 16.7. I'm going to go ahead and read the title. This item is going to be continued to a date uncertain, but just so those who might not have an agenda in front of them know what that item is. It's 16.7, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Rancho Cordova adopting Caltrans Local Assistance Procedures Manual, Chapter 10, Consultant Selection.
Okay. All right. Council, do you wish to pull any other items?
Hearing none, I will move approval.
Wait. Stacy, is there any public comment?
The city clerk's does not have any public comment for the consent calendar. Is there anyone in Zoom or by telephone who has a public comment with regards to items on the consent calendar? I don't see any hand raised.
Excellent. Can I get a motion?
Okay, hearing none, I will move approval with the exception of 16.7 for items 16.1 through 16.10.
Excellent.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent. Mayor Gatewood?
Aye.
Do we need a motion to continue 16.7 to a date uncertain?
Adam?
Adam,
Yes, please.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent. Mayor Gatewood?
Aye. Consent public hearing items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration. All items may be approved in one motion. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. And our council, do you wish to pull any items?
Mayor Gatewood,
No.
first we need to ask if there's any public comment.
That's true. Do we have any public comment?
I do, the city clerk's office has not received any public comment for item 17.1.
Now, do you want to pull any items? Oh, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, do you wish to pull any items?
I will move approval of item 17.1.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Budge,
Yes.
Councilmember Sander,
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent, Mayor Gatewood.
Aye. All right, I'll let you get everything situated. All right, Stacy, subject, please.
18.1 Stone Creek Village tentative parcel map, tentative subdivision map, major design review, and unified sign program, project DD 10072, located at Zinfandel Drive between Bear Hollow Drive and Spotto Drive. APN 072-2360-002-0000.
All right, staff report. Nick, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Nicholas Sosa, Associate Planner. The project before you tonight is the Stone Creek Village project. This project is requesting a tentative parcel map, tentative subdivision map, design review, and unified sign program. So let's go ahead and get started. So the applicant is proposing a horizontal mixed-use community on a 25.12 acre vacant parcel. The project includes a retail center with a Sprouts grocery store, retail shops, a pad building, and a gas station. The project also includes a 151 unit apartment community and 128 single family detached homes. The project is located along Zinfandel Drive between Bear Hollow and Spotto Drive within the Zinfandel Special Planning Area. It's currently 25 acre vacant parcel adjacent to existing bike trail connecting Bear Hollow and Spotto. The project site is zoned retail center, and the zoning allows for a grocery store use, general retail, multifamily use, and single-family residential is allowed when it's in conjunction with retail commercial uses. So the requested entitlements are, as I mentioned before, a tentative parcel map to subdivide the existing parcel into 3 components, a tentative subdivision map to further subdivide the property for individual pad buildings and the single-family lots. It's also a major design review for the design of the Sprouts with the inline tenants and the apartment community, as well as the master plans for the single-family homes. Also included is a unified sign program to create the guidelines for the retail center and multifamily building, as well as identify and design monument signs for the project. So this next slide is a image of the tentative parcel map. The parcel map is divided into 3 components. Parcel 1 is approximately 6 acres of commercial use. Parcel 2 is approximately 6.3 acres of multifamily. And parcel 3 on the right, which it should say parcel 3, is 12.78 acres of single-family homes. So the next slide will be the tentative subdivision map, but before that I wanted to go over some key items of the map. The subdivision map will include a total of 140 lots. That includes 128 single-family lots, 4 retail parcels, and 1 multifamily parcel. The remaining 7 lots are dedicated to the landscaping corridors, alleys, parking, and common areas. The map will also be Condition 2, have a note for reciprocal parking and access for the final map. Here's an image of the tentative subdivision map. You can see the 4 retail lots on the left with Sprouts on lot 3, inline tenants on lot 4, pad 1 building on lot 2, and a possible future gas station on lot 1 along Zinfandel Drive. There's also the lot 1 in the center, which is the multifamily lot, and then the 128 single-family lots on the right side, which are within the density allowance of the retail center, retail center zoning. The further subdivision also separates common area lots and private right-of-ways for maintenance by the subdivision's HOA. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the applicant who's online for the design review portion of each component in the project.
Price, I've just unmuted you, so you should be able to speak.
Did that work?
Yes, we can hear you.
Amazing. Mr. Mayor, this is Price Walker with Elliott Homes, and I said amazing because I'm actually doing this from my car under a bunch of pretty crazy circumstances. I'm actually driving instead of either in the chamber or in front of a computer. But I do want to thank you for having us tonight. We're extremely excited about this, and I'm not going to be very long. I'm going to be pretty brief, but I want to turn it over to my very talented consultant designers and let them present the project. But I do want to say a couple things. And the first one is just how kind of happy we are to actually provide a project that is a mixed-use project for the 25 acres that at least some of the council members I know have been waiting for a long time. And when you hear mixed use, it's something that we often talk about and we often think about, but very seldom bring forward to construct. And I'm here tonight to say that we're not only proud of this project that we're getting approved tonight, but we are going to build all 3 components starting next year. In fact, one of the components we've already just started. And all 3 will be built and owned by Elliott Homes and be our homes and our apartments. And this is a project that really integrates all the components of a mixed-use project, 3 different components, a retail, 2 densities, kind of provides that missing middle that we talk about a lot again, but don't see enough of. And it's all integrated by connections. So you'll hear about this from our consultants, but I also wanted to thank a couple people, and that's your staff. Your staff have been just wonderful to work with on this project. Albert and Kwok have helped get us to where we are today. Albert and I had countless meetings to work out the access, and we think all of those issues have been worked out. I want to thank Darcy and Nick, who again worked through conditions of approval with us and design, and I think we're to a point where we've got a really cool project that we'll all be very proud of. We did have a neighborhood meeting about a month and a half ago that I thought went very well. We did it all virtual and had actually a lot of folks involved, and we answered questions. And I think for the most part, people were very satisfied with what they heard. Again, this is a 25-acre parcel that we have owned for a long time and have marketed for a long time. And I know like I said, a couple council members who have been on the council a while have been waiting for something on this piece. We have tried for years to get a grocery store, and we finally have a grocery store that we're very proud of. And we are going to have that grocery store open a year from now. And so we're all very excited. We're in agreement with the conditions of approval and really would like your support on this tonight. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Kelly from LPAS, and to Chelsea Richardson from our architect.
JDA.
Thank you, JDA. Again, I'm driving and trying not to kill myself, and to present the project. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, council members. Just wanted to introduce the project team kind of to start with. You just heard from Price Walker there at Elliott Homes. Then I'm Chris Kelly. I'm the project architect for not only the multifamily portion, but also kind of the site architecture and landscape architecture with LPAS. And then I think Price just mentioned Chelsea Richardson at Jeff Demure and Associates office. And they're the architects for the 128 single family homes. And then our civil engineer for the entire 25-acre campus here is Morton and Patalo. Next slide. Really, this exhibit is intended to highlight the kind of pedestrian connectivity. Really, at the, our site here at the heart of it, along Zinfandel and Spotto and Bear Hollow. And then on the southern edge along the city trail, or kind of the open space trail, there's two pedestrian connections there that are highlighted in red circles. One from the single family home community and one from the multifamily home community. And then along that city trail that then accesses kind of left to right onto Stone Creek Community Park. And then also a pedestrian connection across Zinfandel to the city trail to the north. And then really the heart of our community, the pedestrian connection within our community, going, I guess, right to left from the single family through the multifamily and then leading to the Sprouts retail and then kind of back. If we go to the next slide. This is just kind of a high level view of really demonstrating kind of Sprouts as the driver of this community on the left side, or really about 25% overall of the site. And then the 151 units of multifamily kind of in the middle zone, or another 25% of the property. And then the single family homes, much like the veranda community that already exists, that highlight kind of the remaining 50% of the parcel. So kind of a quarter and a half, really, this whole property. We can go to the next slide. And really, I wanted to talk about Sprouts at this point. We're going to work our way left to right as far as what we saw on the site there. And really, Sprouts was as I mentioned, the driver of this entire project and really of this community. And they have a kind of a farmer's market grocers theme to them, and it really helped develop our architectural style of a farmhouse modern that we've carried not only from the Sprouts and retail community onto the multifamily and then into the single family. You're going to kind of see images of all those. But really with the Sprouts building, it's kind of their signature look of a building. It's a 23,000 square foot building. It's a mix of CMU, kind of concrete masonry unit block, plaster exteriors, kind of the green signature green color there of the Sprouts is that vertical board and bat siding. They have a standing seam metal roof that acts as a front porch where they can kind of display their veggies or what have you, what they're selling out there. And then if we kind of go to the next slide. And then really adjacent to the Sprouts is kind of an inline shops. We have about 8,000 square feet of retail space there in this building structure, which is connected to the Sprouts. is a mix of plaster and then stone veneer pilasters, storefront glazing, and then it's got some metal entry canopies, both at the corner conditions and then also in that center section, kind of two different canopy designs. And as Price mentioned, the Sprouts and this inline retail is due to open in October of 2022. I think we could go to the next slide. And then, so that middle quarter of the project is 151 units of 3-story walk-up apartments, and really inspired by that kind of farmhouse modern elevation style, right? It has kind of ground floor stone veneer, which gives the building kind of a strong base. It has vertical board and batten siding at the second and third floors, and really with steep pitched gable-in roof forms with composite shingles as far as on the roof. And then that allows for a mechanical well behind those pitched roofs to screen condenser units. And then all of the units have large exterior decks that are all over 60 square feet. And really another portion of this project is the large expansive windows at both the living spaces and bedrooms that kind of line the perimeter of the buildings, and they have a dark bronze frame to them. I think we could go to the next slide. Kind of just more of that architecture for the 3-story walk-up apartments. We also have a 5,200 square foot clubhouse, which has a community lounge and leasing offices, a fitness center, outdoor lounge space with pool and spa, and a support building to serve the pool. Our community has a 1-to-1 ratio or better than that for long-term bike parking. So kind of taking advantage of the connectivity and the trails that you saw earlier. It has a 1.95 parking ratio. That's the number of spaces per unit, which meets the city requirements. And really it's a mix of 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom units, ranging from about a square footage of about 725 square feet for a 1-bedroom up to 1,250 square feet for a 3-bedroom unit. We can go to the next slide. I think I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea to talk about the single-family homes.
Thank you, Chris. As was mentioned, we have 128 single-family homes. These are very similar to the veranda homes that are around the corner. These are a small lot detached community, and it was designed with a community focus, a lot of walkability. We wanted to connect the residents both to their neighbors and then also throughout the community with a lot of open space network and trails, and then also to the amenities of the amazing mixed-use retail and the Sprouts. We've got a farmhouse aesthetic to keeping with the neighboring multifamily and the Sprouts. It's a very uncommon thing to say that we were inspired by a grocery store, but we were in this case, and we're very excited about it. We've got, you can see board and batten. We've got a brick wainscot in some cases, really a combination of materials, and wanted a very comfortable and welcoming feel, and really trying to balance both modern and timeless, you know, keeping a sense of not being too trendy, wanted to have a certain timelessness. We've got a combination of a pretty broad and rich color palette, ranging from which we've worked very closely to make sure that we've got a very extensive color palette that goes all the way from our bright whites that you see here all the way into some nice deep navies and everything in between. So we're very excited to present this community today. I think that is actually the end of our presentation, and we would be handing it back over to Nick.
Thank you, Price, Chris, and Chelsea. So the final entitlement that the applicant's requesting is Unified Sign Program. The Unified Sign Program provides signage guidelines and limitations for the tenants of the center. It also maintains an overall sign design concept throughout the project. And the program that they've provided includes preliminary designs and site allowances for 3 key monument signs within the commercial area of the project. So the key monuments that we wanted to highlight would be the top image there, which is the corner monument sign that serves as the main signage for passers of Zinfandel Drive. The sign is an illuminated sign with similar vertical siding consistent with the Sprouts store and also consistent stone veneer. The bottom sign there is an example of the multi-tenant signage, which will be at the entrances on Zinfandel and one on Baroque. This sign also includes the vertical siding and the stone veneer that maintains that farmhouse design concept. So with that, the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to section 15183. The proposed project has been reviewed and determined to be in conformity with what was reviewed in the original EIR for the Villages of Zinfandel specific plan.
Excellent. Excellent, thank you. All right, Stacy, are there any speaker cards?
Yes. The first speaker in the room is Kyle Kramnik. Got it. And following Kyle will be Frank Hall. Kyle, you'll have 3 minutes.
Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Sosa, and Price, Chelsea, and Chris. My name is Kyle Kramnik. I live on Zinfandel Drive behind the property of this proposed project. And yeah, we're excited about having the store there. It looks great. We moved there with my wife under the impression that the whole property would be zoned commercial. So this is a new light. And some of our neighbors are concerned about the height of the multi-level apartment complex and the lighting and privacy that comes down into our backyards on that green belt there that we live behind. Also, wondering about the apartments and how upscale they will be, considering keeping the integrity of our neighborhood and price points of that. Also, what it'll do to our property values and those zoning concerns primarily. Another one thing that I just wanted to address quickly was the Greenbelt trail that is there where the wall is, the other side of the properties that is being proposed. That was a privacy thing that was kind of sold to us by the builder of Elliott Homes. And so I was wondering where and how thoroughfares will be put there, because it is a very private area. I was wondering if it's just going to be a thoroughfare for the new residents to go to the store, or if this is something that'll be connected to that bike path that goes to nowhere. So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys listening to these concerns, and I hope that I can get some of these answers.
All right, did you get all those questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and throw them around to do the answers.
So for the height concerns, it follows the height limitations of the zone, which is up to 3 stories and not to exceed a maximum of 40 feet in height. So it does meet those requirements. For lighting, we would, it does meet the requirements for the outdoor lighting, and the lighting would be shielded towards the center and towards the single family and multifamily. And a photometric plan was provided with the design project.
Does that mean, wait, so that's a little, you're being technical. So he asked, is the lights gonna shine in his backyard? Go.
No.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm asking is from some of the apartment buildings that, how close they are to, what we only have now is a 6-foot wall, or 6 foot and an inch or 2. I had also spoken to Mr. Walker in that community forum that we had. And I was under the impression that the wall would have been extended to 13 feet, but I'm finding out that that was only for the loading zone that'll be behind the store. So, and I'm not sure about the decibels on that as well, where that meets. And then, because of the height of some of the apartments, we're losing, there's going to be, a lot of privacy and issues involved with that, looking down into our backyards. Our backyards were built there and sold to us by Elliott Homes to ensure that that gave us a cushion for some privacy there. And so with a gate or a wall being, with an opening there and high buildings, I'm a bit concerned.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to go through his question. So light, you said it doesn't cast into his backyard. That's the first one. Property value, what do we think?
Good evening, Mayor Darcy. Planning
Hi,
Manager
Darcy.
with the Planning Department. If I could just address the lighting a little bit more, and then what I would like to do is turn the some of those questions back over to the applicant team. It would be more appropriate for them to answer property values.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the lighting, our code does require all outdoor lighting to be down shielded. That's why we require a specific plan to look at those lighting measures.
Right.
So we've taken a look at that, and they will not have spillover onto adjacent properties.
Excellent. Okay. No spillover. All right. Can you tell me who on the team would answer the property value question?
Probably the best person would be.
Am I?
There you go, Price.
Price, don't
Price.
kill yourself.
Yes. I'm not. I'm parked.
Okay,
parked.
excellent. All right.
Yeah. In terms of values, I believe your values will not be diminished. I mean, we certainly plan for these veranda type houses to be at a value probably higher than the verandas that we're getting out of. Today's market obviously continues to have some appreciation. You're probably more concerned about the apartments. These apartments are market rate apartments. They're not quote unquote affordable apartments, and we see these comparable to I always get this wrong. Is it BDX? Rent?
BDX. Yeah.
And,
BDX you know what the condos are?
I always get those initials wrong. Yeah. And so, I mean, rents today would not have any diminishing values on your single family. I would probably tell you that having this mixed use versus, say, 25 acres of commercial is going to be, I think, a huge plus to all the residents, I believe. I think noise factor, nuisance factor, I mean, all of those items I think will be lower with the mixed use than it would have been, all retail or all commercial.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Stacy, who's next?
The next person is Frank Hall. Frank, if you'll come forward, you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, everyone, and I appreciate the time here tonight. And happy birthday, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Had one last month, and it's just like putting another ring around the tree trunk, so don't worry. I would also like to, because Mr. Kramnick is my neighbor, kind of work off of behind what he was sharing about this area. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not from this state. However, I did identify wanting to live over in this area simply for the very factors that he rose: the privacy, the lack of traffic, the very nice affordable homes, but nonetheless, the design of the land tract. My father was a contractor, so he built commercially as well as privately, so it was a very attractive piece of property to me. One of the things, and I'm not sure that there would be an answer for this, however, I'm going to try and see, because I am a little unfamiliar with some of the laws and the zoning and all that out here in California. When we met with the developer a few weeks ago, one of the issues that I raised was you've got a parcel of land here that's got retail, it's got a multi-unit dwelling, and then it does have some single-family homes, and it is along Zinfandel, which, if any of you live out there, it's probably this side of NASCAR, because there are people constantly racing up and down their motorcycles as well as cars. One of the things in my experience with my father in building shopping centers and commercial design was that whenever you do have something like that, the one thing you want to make sure is that there is a very solid barrier with no interruption in the integrity between single-family homes or dwellings and the retail spot. Because what happens, unfortunately, is, and I don't know, again, if there is any information in your plan check or how you all evaluate these things. They call them zoning assessments. Where I'm from out here, I think they call it environmental impact studies or
Where
something.
are you from?
I'm from Texas.
I had Florida. I was just going to guess that. All right.
No, I'm one of the few that's coming this direction. Most
Welcome you.
everybody's-
Welcome you back. Yes.
Well, thank you. Believe it or not, my best friend from high school also lives out here and encouraged me to come here. So
Do you hear that, Linda? We're picking them off from Texas now.
I did.
you got bragging rights there. So with that said, that very dynamic that I described, which I presented to the developers, and it might just be pure experience that tells you that that is a perfect storm for what we call spillover gatherings, because it's a great night place where people come if they race cars, because where I have seen this occur, there is a huge, like a drag race right there by a retail establishment and a multi-unit dwelling and access to single-family homes. There's all sorts of spillover traffic, which I won't go into the details because some of them are a little bit graphic, but that does occur. So I don't know if in the process of approving this project that the city has anything like a plan check or something that it looks at and considers those types of, factors that go into that. But when I saw that, I said, there's going to be an opening here in this, that occurred to me. So I did want to ask if in fact there is a piece of your design or protocol that you actually consider that or look at some of those non-quantifiable or non-regulation type considerations.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
So through the review of this particular project, we look at various aspects, one being on-site circulation as well as off-site. So there were some traffic analyses that were done. I believe Albert Stricker, our Public Works Director, is here, so he could address any of the off-site traffic circulation safety issues that may have been analyzed in that study.
Excellent. All right. Hold on one sec. We'll be right with you.
Do I need to
Yeah, go ahead and sit down.
Thank you.
Albert, where are you? Oh, there you are. You're hiding in the back. Come on up here. Tell us about roads.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood and council members. Albert Stricker with the Public Works Department. And I believe the question was asking about the design of the housing fronting on Zinfandel Drive. It's a good question, but it's a very common design. Another great example of a successful development is along International Drive, where we have developments built right up along an arterial roadway.
So he was questioning the some type of spillover that happens. Am I saying that right? The spillover into that could possibly turn into like some sort of drag race or issues. Do we account for that ever? Linda, you might have to step in here. You're my design guru. You know what I'm talking about?
Albert, remind them of the future signal light at Zinfandel and Baroque.
So there is a signal at Zinfandel and Baroque today. One thing that we have found is that having lesser traffic. Zinfandel Drive, for example, is designed to handle more traffic than it does today. And one thing that we found is providing more driveways along that roadway and adding additional traffic will tend to actually bring down overall speeds.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next.
The next public comment the city clerk's office received was via email, and that was from John Henderson. It will be placed on our website, and a copy has also been made available for the public in the back of the council chambers and has been emailed to the city council. Is there anyone in Zoom or by telephone who would like to speak on behalf of item 18.1? So there is a hand that's raised. Davis, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Yeah, so can you guys hear me?
Yes, Davis, go ahead.
Fantastic. So my wife and I live off of Zinfandel, but we are on the opposite side of Zinfandel from this new proposed land and improvement. My problem and what the questions that I have, one, I want to further comment on the last speaker about the speed. He is not lying. Also off of Zinfandel, where I live, you guys did put up a road speed limit, kind of little sign that tells you if you're going over the speed limit. And that was constantly being turned by the neighborhood kids or whatever, because it was directly behind my house, which is on Zinfandel. I'm backed up to the wall of Zinfandel. So, but that's one thing, was a speed. I'm curious about how we're going to improve that around here. If it's not, those little speed bumps, those little road tables or what have you on Zinfandel. And then the second thing too was decibels. As the first speaker was talking about, what is, I see that you're going to have a 13-foot wall, but when you have an 18-wheeler backing up at 5 a.m. in the morning with their buzzer going, what's the plan for that? What's the law, and how long, do they, before we can allow that to happen? I guess, is it like a 6:30 or 7 o'clock? Is that kind of like the normal law for Rancho Cordova or what have you? Yeah, so like the loading and unloading of the trucks behind Sprouts, because if you look at the zone 1, if you see the actual parcel and you look at the backup spot of that is off of Zinfandel. So the big trucks are going to be pulling down Zinfandel. I'm not sorry, Bear Hollow. They're going to be coming down Bear Hollow. So they'll be coming down from Zinfandel to Bear Hollow and then turning in from Bear Hollow, and then doing their backup into the loading docks at, So my question is to you guys would be, just the nuisance of the noise. If that's the case, I mean, I already have a neighbor, and they already moved. They actually sold their house once they found out you guys were building. So on this side, and we didn't get a whole lot of community outreach on this side of Bear Hollow, by the way. I just wanted to let you guys know that. You guys talked, Elliott Holmes spoke to the people on the opposite side, but they did not speak to anybody over here that I'm aware of, because we did not get any messages for that. And then that's pretty much it for me. I just wanted to know about the noise and the speed on Bear Hollow. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Certainly, we can address the noise. An acoustical analysis was done for the particular project, and it really focused on the grocery store in terms of the truck deliveries, and the mechanical equipment that's associated with that. So that was made as part of the staff report, and what it did conclude was that there is a requirement for a 13-foot wall on that loading dock, which will mitigate the noise to the acceptable levels. We also have conditions of approval in there that address no idling of trucks. There will be signage that will be placed on the grocery store as well. So to sort of conclude, that acoustical analysis analyzes the noise that would be generated during different hours of the day, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., because those decibel levels are higher during the day and lower during the night. So the project will be consistent with those decibel levels. Again, it is conditioned to meet those requirements, so we do have that within the conditions. And then we will also ensure that they construct the wall per that noise study.
Excellent. Thank you. Stacy, anyone else?
There are no other hands that are raised in Zoom.
Excellent. All right. Let's.
Oh. Absolutely.
Good evening. My name's Ed Springer, and I live on Duello Court Circle there. And I'm concerned because of Bear Hollow. I have 2 grandkids that are young. One was going to Navigator School, and one goes to Girder School. And I take them to school in the morning.
Okay.
And on Bear Hollow, it could be kind of busy with the school buses and people taking children to school. And like the other gentleman was addressing the vehicles and stuff. I'm not sure if you are including that left turn lane in the middle on Bear Hollow or not, because otherwise if a bus is stopped or somebody stopped, a person can't get around them. So it's something to really consider, because there's a lot of children that walking to school in the morning over there too.
Excellent.
So I'm concerned because I have a 4-year-old and a 11-year-old grandson.
Turning on to Waterbrook?
The what?
Is that turning on to
That turning onto Waterbrook,
No, on to Bear Hollow.
onto Bear Hollow.
Yeah.
Zinfandel down Bear Hollow to Waterbrook, and further on to Navigator.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood and council members. Albert Stricker with Public Works Department again. There are a few accommodations that the developer is making on Bear Hollow, and they're largely extending from the intersection at Zinfandel Drive and then west to the western property line, frontage of the commercial property. They are installing new two-way left turn lane along the frontage of the Sprouts property, the commercial property.
Okay.
They're also installing at the north-south trail where it crosses and intersects with Bear Hollow. New bulb outs will be placed to narrow the road at that location
Okay.
and also
Which
shorten.
slows it down, right?
And also shorten the crossing for residents. And you're absolutely correct, Mayor, that narrowing the roadway through there will slow traffic down.
Excellent. Thank you.
One item, Mayor, if I may, that I wanted
Please.
to add as well, Councilmember Budge, when you mentioned the signal at Broke, I apologize, I was thinking you were referring to the southern intersection. I realize you're meaning the northern intersection of Broke and Zinfandel Drive. That location was considered carefully by Elliott Holmes engineer and reviewed by the city, and it was identified that a signal at that location is not needed and also too close to the intersections to the north and south at Bear Hollow and Spoto Drive. So at this time, the current design includes left turn in access only. So the access that is currently in place is intended to be maintained.
Excellent. Go
So
ahead, Linda.
can we discuss that a minute, Albert? Because I will tell you, for the entire almost 20 years we lived there, it's been my impression that Elliott was simply waiting to build that signal light until the west side of the road developed. And coming home at night, especially from both our former city manager and I agreed, coming home at night after council meetings, it's really hazardous. Everything that everybody has said about the traffic on Zinfandel, is accurate. And there has always needed to be a signal light there, and there still needs to be a signal light there. Doing left turns in and out is not going to do anything to get the southbound traffic across those northbound lanes safely.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that the plan had changed.
Thank you.
So
Go ahead, Albert.
you should think about that one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Albert.
Thank you for that input, Councilmember Budge. And it's certainly that was based on our preliminary engineering evaluation. If directed to do so, we could certainly get back together with Elliott Holmes and their engineer and reevaluate the opportunities for a signal at that location.
Okay. Thank you, Albert.
I really think, as much as everybody wants this project, I really think that would be appreciated.
This is Baroque and Zinfandel we're discussing, right?
At the north end of Baroque, David. Yeah. It's huge difference, the distance.
Hey guys,
between,
hold on one second. Let me finish up with one sec. Let me tell you. Is
The
there,
lights at
one sec,
Bear
guys.
Hollow.
One sec. Anyone left to testify?
There's no additional public comment in Zoom or by telephone, and I don't see any other hands raised in the room.
All right, thank you. David, you were getting into it. Let's go.
Yeah, the Baroque and Zinfandel intersection, that one's interesting. We're adding a grocery store here, which is potentially a pedestrian or a cycle-based destination for folks.
Absolutely.
So a huge number of those could be coming from Baroque, right? I mean, that's a major connection on the other side of Zinfandel. So I would think having a nice, safe way to get across Zinfandel from Baroque would be a good thing for pedestrians and cyclists. And cyclists here, I often think of, the 8-year-old kid or whatever age riding with a parent. How would you keep them safe getting across Baroque? I suppose the other advantage, obviously, you're going to have hundreds of people potentially coming out of here every morning going to work by vehicle. They're going to want to make lefts, and predominantly lefts coming out of this neighborhood. Some of them, I guess, could choose to go to Spotto or work their way over to Bear Hollow. But it seems to me that should be a full function intersection, Baroque and Zinfandel.
And I will say that I have driven and I have walked grandkids in that direction over to Navigator for kindergarten. And even then, the kids are all in high school or gone now. So even at that point, there was a need for safe pedestrian and bicycling connections.
The other advantage would be for local residents, you may not want to see another red light there, but someone mentioned drag racing. And the technology now exists so that a light can literally detect the speed of an automobile. And if you happen to be speeding, turn red in front of you. So that's actually, and we do have that. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but Albert can verify that. We have that technology at the city, so that if you choose to speed, you're going to find a miraculous number of red lights in front of you.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. If you're going the speed limit, though, however, you're not penalized. It's just the speeder.
I like it.
I've got one or two other questions about connectivity that are not obvious to me.
Okay.
From looking at this, I thought they were until I'm sitting here listening to comments and I blew up this one map. So there's a nice pedestrian access, sort of north and south through these parcels.
Right.
The one that's going the length of the parcel, which would be north-south, although it's horizontal on the graphics given, does that at its northernmost end, at the left end, does that puncture the wall into the shopping area?
No. It's 100-foot wide pedestrian trail that connects over to Spotto and into Stone Creek Park.
Is that right, guys?
I'm talking about the one that's actually inside of the development, right in the middle of the development.
Yeah.
So it sort of bisects the houses.
Yeah.
It lines up with the entrance to Spotto.
It divides the Alexander Collection and veranda from the commercial area.
The one that I'm talking about is totally within this new development, not on the western edge of it, totally contained within it.
Where?
There isn't one. No. What's labeled City Trail in this exhibit exists, has for a long time. It was a part of the original Alexander Collection and was finished over to Spotto to the right of this picture with the construction of veranda.
Yeah, go east further into the proposal. Go halfway into the proposal, and you'll see a horizontal sidewalk in the. It'd be running north-south, parallel to Zinfandel. It lines up with the entrance to the new homes on Spotto.
You mean the little red dots that look like trees?
I've got a better graphic. I've got a landscape plan in front of me. So it connects all the way through the housing, through the multifamily housing, and then it ends, and I can't tell if it permeates the wall at the side of Sprouts or if it doesn't. I assumed it would because it's such an obvious connection.
Yes.
Well, the zoning code.
Can I address that for a second?
Wait, go ahead.
So that row of pink dots, Councilmember Budge, those are trees, and that's a pedestrian connection from Spotto Drive all the way directly through the single-family homes, the multifamily, and it does punch through to the shopping center.
Okay.
So the zoning code at least used to, require masonry walls between single family and commercial, but not between single family and multifamily, as well as not between multifamily and commercial.
Yes, so there is a wall along that portion of the multifamily, but there is an entrance for that pedestrian walkway so that residents can go all the way through.
Okay.
So you can walk to the store in a pretty direct way. That is a really nice attribute to this neighborhood.
Absolutely.
You don't have to walk out to the street and down and, you know, wait for a light or something like that and then cross traffic and then walk down the parking lot. It's right to it. Very, very nice feature.
Yeah.
And we don't often see that. So I want to credit you guys with putting it in here because that's a really big deal for quality of life. And there's a way for cars to go, which is a little out of the way compared to walking, which is exactly the priority you want. Get the walkers there directly, make the cars drive further, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, with respect to that open space trail on the western edge, it looks like there's one connection to it in this entire new proposal. And that's sort of at the cross pedestrian axis that runs from like the Zinfandel side of that single family housing down to the open space. So there's a little pencil line in there. I assume that's a real connection through the wall.
So there's actually two connections. One's from the single family right there that you were just describing. Right. And there's another second connection for the multifamily right next to the pool area of the multifamily section.
All right. That was my next question.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second connection on the north. It's so weird to have that be on the north side, but on the northern side there. Okay. My last question then about that pedestrian connection is you've got the nice pool and the complex right there. If someone's walking there from the single family side, do they have to walk between parked cars to get to it? That's kind of what it looks like. It looks like there's not a pedestrian way through. Same question from the multifamily side. Is there any parking that's blocked so that you can have a pedestrian path without wedging yourself between cars to get there?
So Chelsea or Nick, it looks like in the single family, it's kind of a muse between two sets of houses.
Correct. In the single family, those are home fronts.
So there'll be a pathway down the middle that anybody can walk through, like the muse here in Cap Village.
That's correct. Very similar.
Okay, so that just leaves David's question about walking past the pool area from the multifamily. That would be an LPAS question.
Right. So the clubhouse is designed just for the multifamily residents. The single-family homes don't have access necessarily to the clubhouse.
Chris, the question was about walking.
Yes. So there's a network of sidewalks that connect the multifamily community to the clubhouse.
But to the trail, the existing trail on the west.
Yes,
the open space trail. Yeah,
yes.
Just to the left of the pool area, there is a connection to the open space trail.
So the club
highlighted in the red circle there.
So the club area is just for multifamily.
Correct.
Although the single family housing has sort of equivalent access to it or near equivalent access to it. That'll make that kind of an interesting amenity, you know, if you live right there sort of in the neighborhood, but you can't use it. Did anyone consider making that available to both? Some sort of an assessment on the single family?
Yes, we discussed that. We discussed that with Elliott Homes, and it was determined that it was just best for the multifamily to have access to the clubhouse and pool amenity. Because then you have a mix of home ownership and rental and the way that they would view the clubhouse and amenities is different.
Well, David, these apartments are really more like the upscale apartments at VDX.
Right.
I mean, between the design and the features that the lifestyle features that they've incorporated into it, and probably the rents, it's really more like VDX. So you would want that pool to be private for multifamily.
So, the signal light at Baroque. Let's get a comment from the applicant, please.
Stacy, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Still not sure. Yeah, regarding the signal, Councilwoman Budge is correct. That signal was definitely contemplated years ago. And it really was based, I believe, on the 25 acres of commercial, which is a much different scenario than we have today. You know, that generated a lot more volume of traffic. That being said, I've heard you loud and clear, and we will definitely go back and work with Albert on whether or not a traffic signal can work there. And if it can work there, Elliott Homes will construct a signal.
Thank you, Price. That's a really important conversation.
So you wrote that down?
I understand.
Okay. Siri, what do you think?
So I heard a lot of discussion on this topic. So to a start, thank you, Elliott. Sprouts is much needed. We need that kind of a retail, healthy living kind of a store here. I think all of Rancho is going to really appreciate that. We need housing. We need more people to move in to afford that kind of a lifestyle. So I like that, and I like that. I do appreciate the residents that did come in with their concerns, so I really leave it to Elliott to make sure that their concerns are taken care of, because obviously they do also like the new shops and the new housing, but they don't want to disrupt the lifestyle with which they bought into the housing. So taking all that into consideration, it's my feedback.
Thank you, Siri.
So Garrett, I suspect David and I might have a few extra comments that didn't have to do with traffic.
All right. Go ahead, Linda. You're first.
So I think it's really important that we acknowledge the fact that the single family is designed by Jeff Demure Architects, who were the original primary designers here in Cat Village, and have been they've created very positive experiences for Rancho Cordova. And in that regard, you know, Siri and you and Donald know better than David and I, but there's no question that the architecture and the colors that they have used in all three of these different building types are very consistent with what we're seeing in new housing today. And they might not be the same colors that some of us would have chosen if we were planning on painting a house, but they're definitely what people who are buying houses today are looking for. As an original owner in Stone Creek, who now lives in Cat Village, you know, sometimes it's difficult when you are a subsequent owner and you're not provided with all the documents that were a part of the sales package when you originally bought your house. So there's no question that this has always been designed for commercial. And it's one of the reasons that the public trail is a full 100 feet wide and has masonry walls available to it. It is very significant that wall is going up from 8 feet to 13 feet to shield everybody from the noise of the loading docks. The architecture on the multifamily is really elegant. Personally, I love the roof pitches, and what I see, and it's my understanding that every unit has some sort of outdoor space, which here again makes it the equivalent of the lifestyle available to people who live at VDX, which is really completely unique for Rancho Cordova and totally supported because of the numbers of jobs that are surrounding this area. And here again, even though it's not across the street, people can still walk to the 35,000 jobs that are right there on the next corner. And that's really, really significant. Yeah, I only had one request. There is on the slide of Sprouts that is taken from the north side from Bear Hollow. There's one blank wall, and if and some of us remember that when we approved not only the commercial at Cat Village, but also the CVS, we asked them to make sure that because they were bringing us buildings that looked like a variety of individual stores, not just one big box or something, that there be a variety of signage on the building to make it look like each of the building sides might have something different in it or a different entrance. And so that one blank wall there, that's the division between the gray inline tenant and Sprouts, from my perspective, would really be enhanced by another sign that advertised what you can do in Sprouts. Just like we did at Lowe's, you know, one says lumber, one says garden, one says paint, that kind of thing. And the same with the CVS. And I would ask for that addition to the sign package, because otherwise the sign package is totally consistent with what we approved at Cat Village. None of the signs are very tall. They all offer an opportunity for, I'm talking about the monument signs. They all offer an opportunity for the tenants who are in this center to be able to advertise themselves to people who are traveling by, so everyone will know. And they're all doing it in a architecturally consistent and very reasonable manner. So that would be the one comment that I would have about this, other than the traffic light price. So,
got it.
Those are my comments.
What about the palm tree?
Oh, page 4. I wrote down the page number. Ditch the palm trees. Page 4. No, 14. Wait. I wrote it down.
That's for you.
Page 14.
Extra
that one.
palm
Ditch
tree.
the palm tree. Oh, God.
Violations of the budget rule.
Sorry.
Excellent. All right, David.
Apologies to the landscape architect.
I think this is a really exciting development for this parcel. You know, a lot of us thought this was going to be a retail center or even a jobs center, but it's been a lot of years, and the retail market has certainly changed in that time period, as has sort of large floor plan office setting. So this is a great opportunity for development of this quite large parcel in Rancho Cordova that's probably overdue. So I'm really excited by this plan. I love the multiple types of housing that are available here. I love the connection to the store. I think the store is exactly the right scale for that neighborhood. Putting a giant store in here would have led to a lot of complications. So I think this is just the right size. The connections it makes are great. That one signal would be trouble. I'd need to know more about it before saying no to the signal. I sort of would be biased towards a yes. And I've got no potential corrections. I certainly hear neighborhood concerns about what this is going to be. I think multifamily at being market rate, in today's housing environment is not going to be something we're worried about 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years from now. That's going to be stable. If it's built well, it'll remain in a good place in the market. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. The view from apartments into people's backyards, if you look at it, there are a couple of houses that may be impacted by that, but there is quite a bit of distance separation, horizontal distance separation between the third story. That's like, I think the foot level there is like 21 feet, if I read the diagram right, off the ground. So someone could be 26 feet, say, above your backyard looking down on you, but they're like 150 feet away. They are not really that close. So if you're really concerned about that, you're one of those 4 houses that are going to be within sight range of the apartments, I would just suggest altering your backyard plantings to have tall trees there and block that view. There's not much else we can do to mitigate that. This is always true anytime you have one use run up against another. And this is a much gentler interface of those uses than you would typically see in a community, because this was well planned for this potential kind of outcome. And I have to agree, aside from that visual impact that a few homes are going to have, the sound impact of having this be all commercial would have been huge compared to what you're going to get with residential there. So that's a big benefit over what could have been. So these things are always a little plus and a little minus, but I think for the rest of the neighborhood, this is a real plus. Excellent. So thank you, guys. I know there's a lot of hard work between the applicant and staff. Everybody, it appears to me, did a great job. Really pleased at what I'm looking at, and can't wait to see it off the ground.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Can I ask one more question?
You know what? We're going to ask one last question. Come on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No worries.
I wanted to
Quick step.
inform Linda Budge that, because what she mentioned earlier about a 13-foot wall being the wall that we have there being extended, that's not what's happening, Linda. What's going on is they're going to do a 13-foot little inlet next to the store so the truck can go park in there. And then I just had one more about where the pool is and the trail open way. I think they were going to open that wall again, taking away some of our privacy, making a private pool an area that they can access, but we shouldn't be able to go through that gate. I don't know. There are 2 things that I think you may have not seen there, Linda, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
All right. Thank you. All right. Can I get a motion, guys?
So before the motion, I just wanted to reiterate the comments that we had from council. I just want to reiterate the comments that we had, restate them, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
You may go.
So the things that staff are going to revisit with the applicant is the traffic light at Broke and Zinfandel.
Okay.
And then we'll be adding additional signage to that.
Slow down. Okay, go ahead.
Adding additional signage to that blank wall that Linda had pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing was to make sure that the palm trees at the entrance were removed. Is that correct?
Yes. That was serious? They were really going to put palm trees in Rancho?
At the entrance, that was the original intention. But from what I see, I believe the landscape plan already shows them removed. So.
Wow. Price, you were going to put palm trees in Rancho? He's not.
No.
He's not there anymore. All right. So
Mayor,
you heard that, guys? Did he get that right? Linda, David, Siri?
So are you closing the public hearing?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And you reiterated?
Mayor,
May I take a motion? Go ahead,
Mayor,
Adam.
could I for staff to at the beginning when you described you would take back for consideration the traffic light. Could we please ask Public Works to comment on whether or not it would be prudent to write that condition now, or is that something that we might need to continue and come back to the council on the consent calendar for the next meeting? Albert, do you think
Hold on one
the
second.
direction is
Adam, he's walking up.
sufficiently clear on that? Or is that something that you would need to reflect upon and bring back at the next council meeting?
At this time, we don't have enough data in order to provide clear information to the city council for their consideration. It's always a balancing act between throughput and accessibility, and this signal would have an effect on both. And so if council would like to hear that additional information prior to us making a final decision, we would need to do additional engineering analysis and return at a later date.
Linda?
Thank
So,
you. I just
Adam,
wanted, for the record, I just
ask
wanted us to be clear on what this actual approval does and does not include.
Okay, Adam,
where we stand
let
with
me
respect to the traffic.
let me ask the question in a different direction, in a different way. So, at this point in time, is there a condition that eliminates the traffic signal at Baroque and Zinfandel? Or is it simply not addressed because it's not in the thing, which would mean that the original approval of a potential traffic signal at that location would still be in effect?
It is not directly addressed in the conditions of approval. However, the site plan does show the existing condition of left in only. I believe that the way the existing application is put together, that it would be interpreted as keeping the existing condition.
The existing condition of left turn in, left turn out, or no, right turn in, right turn out, or?
It's left turn in access only.
He said left turn in access
Wait,
only.
No, it not if you're southbound on Zinfandel. It's right turn in, right turn out.
That's correct.
Correct. Plus northbound left in.
Okay, which makes it even worse. That compounds the problem because not only is everybody traveling southbound trying to turn across the traffic that's northbound, but that means everybody going northbound is trying to turn across the traffic going southbound.
That's correct.
That is correct, Linda.
Which makes it even worse. It makes the problem doubly bad.
Council, one option may be if the applicant is, if Mr. Walker is able to commit to it, is to put a condition that the traffic signal would be explored at this location and allow staff and Elliott Homes to work on the feasibility of installing this traffic signal and report back to the council. But move ahead with the project as I understand, there is a deadline that needs to be met.
Sir, I think Price already committed to that.
Yeah, he did.
To go explore that possibility.
Yeah, committed to that.
I think so. Yeah.
So it would just be a condition then, and I think that just memorializing where we ended up with respect to the traffic condition, that the traffic light was all I was suggesting. If I'm comfortable with the city manager's suggestion.
Excellent.
Okay, so I will move that we find that the project environmental review adequate and appropriate, and that we find the project exempt for projects consistent with the community plan, general plan, and zoning, and adopt the resolution for a tentative parcel map, tentative subdivision map, major design review, and unified sign program with direction to staff and applicant to return with a future discussion of a potential traffic signal at the intersection of the north leg of Baroque and Zinfandel.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent. Mayor Gatewood?
Aye. All right. Moving on to the next one. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, Stacy, can you go ahead and read the subject of the next meeting?
The subject for 18.2 is the Echo Site 2 cellular telecommunication tower at the southeast corner of Zinfandel Drive and Folsom Boulevard, conditional use permit, project number DD 10018.
And staff report.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood, members of the council, Darcy Glart with the Planning Department. This item before you is the EcoSite project. As just a refresher, on September 20th, the council requested to bring this item back for discussion and possible amendment of the design. Upon conclusion of the discussion, staff would be suggesting or would be requesting direction from council to either implement the August 16th approval or return to council for approval of amended design. Next slide, please. Just very quickly, location-wise, this is located at the rear of the grocery outlet, in between grocery outlet and Target along Folsom Boulevard. On August 16th, the image before you on the screen is what the City Council approved in regards to a cell tower. So the project was approved with an added condition to revise the color from blue to red and reserve space on the lower enclosure wall for a future mural to be decided upon at a later date. Next slide, please. The applicant heard what the council had directed at that meeting on August 16th, and they modified it to switch the blue to red. They also removed the previous design from that wall. So this was a revised exhibit that they provided to staff. Additionally, they came up with another image on their own that they wanted to show council. Next slide, please. And that is this image before you on the screen. This is not one that council had seen previously at any of the previous 3 hearings that we had. This one incorporates a star that goes through. It still has Rancho Cordova and still has the signage at the top. Next slide, please. So upon discussion by the council tonight on this, staff is looking for direction to either implement the August 16th approval, which was that first blue image, or the blue from the blue to the red image, or return to council for approval of an amended design. The applicant team is with us. I believe Bill Lewis, Tom Lee, and Aaron Garcia are available to answer questions.
All right, excellent. Stacy, do we have any speaker cards?
The city clerk's office has not received any speaker cards for this item. Is there anyone in Zoom or telephone that would like to raise their hand? If so, the time to do that is now. Mayor Gatewood, I don't see any hands that are raised.
Excellent. So, Bill, is that the applicant's name? Bill, mic up real quick.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I like the Marauder black and red. It's very attractive to me. I'm sorry, I like seeing Rancho and then the cool part is they left the white part so we can do a mural or something at the bottom. And then I heard your amenable
Lancer. I think you said Marauder.
I meant Lancer.
There, Garrett.
Sorry,
Lancer.
Wow.
Although ironically, it also works for the Marauders.
It does actually. But Lancer red, that's cool. And then the cool part, we can put the very cool design underneath, which I'm excited about. And then you guys are minimal to making sure that the coloring always stays strong and that we can put lights on the outside. Yes?
The lighting, we do have an issue with the lighting. It's difficult to implement one for interference sake. The other is potential people coming in and with that area lit up, it can attract and bring people in at night. So we don't really want it to be a beacon. I do have Aaron Garcia, who would be someone that can comment more on that.
Okay. Aaron.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Aaron Garcia. I am the project manager for this project with EcoSite. And I obviously, we went back and forth on the colors. I honestly am with you. This red and black actually looks really good. It's probably, out of all the colors, this is the best one. It really goes well with that, with those lights that go around the light rail. I think that's, to me, that is the best looking one. On the lights, so really there's possibly only two ways lights would work on something like this. Obviously, it is a square structure, so it has to be either lit from the top down or from the bottom up, and it would have to be lit on 4 different sides. The problem that I was explaining to Bill is it's been at least 15 years since we lit a tower, because it just creates, one is a hazard from the ground up. They're basically, we're taking, let's just say, for example, a street light and turning it upside down and aiming it up at the tower. So obviously a street light, they're usually meant to last 5-7 years, even with the LED bulbs. But when you turn them upside down, they're basically facing up. They get rained on, they get animal droppings, they attract insects. It rains on them and they don't last. And then they would be going out, and it's just a maintenance issue that we're going to be dealing both on the city side, obviously, because code compliance will probably drive by there. Most of our techs and our internal people that visit sites usually go there during the day, because it's hardly ever that they're there at night. So by the time we figure out there's a light on, it could be months before it gets fixed, and it just continues to become a problem. The other lighting would be from the top down, and again, it would have to be a light on each side, and it would have to be facing down, and it would actually have to stick out from the face to be able to shine down like a street light. We can't put it on the inside because these are basically FRP panels, fiber reinforced panels, and they're not transparent. So a light inside would not shine out or make it light up. So we would have to kind of do like a light sticking out from the face to be able to shine down. And I don't think, me personally, I don't think that's going to look well. But it's just, those are our main concerns on the lighting. Everything else, I think it looks really well.
Lucky for you, I happen to have a designer as a city council member. She's going to tell you why it's easy to light from the upside, and how we as a city really want to come along, because we want this to be a placemaking spot in our city, because it makes it look unique and pretty. Linda?
I'm going to decline to comment.
No.
The thing is, Garrett.
Yes.
As much as I would like to see this lit so that it can become an icon like the tower at Cat Village, the best way to do that is the way fast food used to do it, with separate lights that are kind of almost like stadium lights that are off-site. It would require 4 different poles. And then ultimately, because of the angle at which the lights shine, they're going to shine into somebody's backyard. So I'm going to let David talk about that.
David?
Yeah, you might need a lighting consultant to figure out exactly how to do that, but a simple explanation would be, you've got white with a red background, so to make that white pop out will not take a massive amount of wattage from the ground. And if it was LED based, you would probably have a number of stack bulbs or fixtures from the ground, less intensity below because it's a lower, smaller distance, more intensity going up higher to get the white to pop up top. I'm no expert on this, but if part of the goal here was these guys get a cell phone tower, well, they need it. We get something we can sort of be proud of and makes a mark on community, sense of place, for us in Rancho Cordova. It's placemaking. Then not having it work at night or having a big, tall, dark thing at night probably doesn't work so well for us. Finding some way that it works for both of us is the best course. So I would suggest that the applicant work with the city manager and find a way to light this at night in some collaborative venture if necessary, because there is a benefit to the city for having this thing look right. There's also actually a benefit to the applicant for having this thing look right all the time, because you could then take this sort of idea and go to other cities where normally we fight, ugly cell phone installations like crazy, and you can show a win-win sort of a project here, and an unusual one at that. It's not an ugly tree. It's not a flagpole or an ugly installation in any way. It's an asset to the community.
It's not a fat flagpole.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there is a win-win possible in here for us. And I do want to apologize to the applicant. I thought we had left with some design guidance possible for Linda and I, and staff's interpretation of what happened at the meeting did not include that. And so that necessitated something we've never done before, which is pull a project back here. So I apologize for that. We should have had greater clarity. It's the council's fault, greater clarity in council action on this item to get to that specific point. This design, though, is much better. Not only the red and the blue, but just I think the contrast in the statement it makes is much better than what we saw before. Does that red have like a specific number or color or something you can tell us?
It does. We use, I think I mentioned it in the last meeting, we use a Sherwin-Williams color palette, because that is basically the universal Bible for colors. I have about 4 of those big binders that have all kinds of colors. I can't tell you right off the top of my head what this red is, but I will get you the Sherwin-Williams color number. We usually call it out on the drawing, and we'll know exactly what that red is called, and the black and the white. But I don't remember the red off the top of my head, and I was trying to find my red color, but I need to ask the engineering firm that actually did this photo sim. He's got the Sherwin-Williams color ID, and I'll pass it on to you all as well.
Maybe there's even a win in here where the city changes the light bulbs. We maintain other stuff.
Well,
so it would not be an impossibility.
Yeah, I think we can come up with a plan. Sorry, I'll have to obviously we'll have to run this back to Larson, who is our tower manufacturer designer. I'll ask them. They do hundreds of these all over the country, not only for us but all the other cell phone carriers and providers and tower owners. They have a lot of experience. They've done a lot of big projects for us, and I'll see what suggestions they have as well for lighting. Could be something like what they talked about, maybe doing like 4 light poles, or some kind of LED lighting from the bottom up or from the top down. I'll have them give us some suggestions as well, and then we'll bring back those for everybody to kind of look at and see what works better.
Maybe something from the back side of that perimeter wall or something. Whatever works. What would be totally cool would be some kind of like glowing backlit R, right? But if you can't put something electronic on the surface to make that really, really pop, I understand that if it interferes with the wavelengths of your electronics. So I would just suggest let's send this to the city manager and see if we can't find a mutually beneficial solution here.
All right.
Yeah, and if I could, this is Tom Lee.
Go ahead, Tom.
On behalf of the applicant. If I could just jump in and respond to a few of those points. I think, first of all, we appreciate all the comments from council members. And to your sort of theme, Councilmember Sander, we agree that, there is an opportunity to create a win-win here. And I think the one win that we're also focused on is even at night, if this isn't able to be illuminated, it will still improve the wireless service for the residents of the city. So even if lights don't end up being a possibility, there is still a pretty substantial advantage to the residents, especially now when people are relying more and more on their cell phones for every aspect of their lives. But we have been and remain committed to working with you guys to try to find solutions to these issues. I think Aaron made it clear that we'll take a look at the lighting issue. So I think ideologically we are very aligned. We are in kind of, as you noted as well, a unique procedural stance here where we have an approved project with a set of approved design drawings with one requested modification, which we have made. So we have, at this point, the applicant has complied with all the requirements that were previously approved. We're also in a situation where the shot clock under the relevant federal law, the TCA, has now expired. So in a situation where the current approval is rescinded or reconsidered in an official capacity, or if there's a sufficient enough change to the design that it results in essentially the same thing, effective reconsideration of what was previously approved, then we're in a situation where there's a shot clock violation and the original application is deemed approved without any of the subsequent revisions. So that's not the situation that we want to end up in. I mention it because I think we all are doing our best, and I know city staff and council is working on this as well. We just want to be very careful that we don't cross a line in changing the design to a point where it triggers all those additional consequences. So, I believe this is the 11th design that we've submitted. I agree. I think it looks great. Hopefully this is the one. We will take a look at the lighting issue, but I do just want to note that because of this situation that we're in, I think both sides need to just be very thoughtful about the process that we follow from this point forward to get this resolved. But again, really appreciate all the comments from the city and all the support from city staff throughout this process.
Now, this is kind of a miracle project because I think when this came up, I may have been the only advocate for it in the sense of placemaking. And I cannot think of another cell phone tower that we have approved in our city in any recent memory, because they are usually such a blight on the neighborhood. So this is a miracle project from that point of view.
Yeah, agreed. And we hear you on the placemaking. I think it's turned out to be a really great design. I think our concern on the lighting side is there's a reason people haven't done this for the last 15 years or so, and it's because people tried and could have been based on the technology that was available back then, but it didn't turn out the way that people hoped it would. So there may now be a way to solve for that and have this look the way that we all hope that it would. But the concern is that we install a lighted tower and it looks terrible and creates a maintenance headache for city staff and or the applicant. So just something we'll need to take a look at.
All right, so I'm going to close public hearing. And do I ask for a motion, guys? Do we have a motion?
So
What do we need, Adam?
Sure. I think, Mr. Lee, let's collaborate on this for a moment, but I believe the motion would be to accept the current proposed design that's in front of the council as revised by the applicant, and to provide direction to staff in the city manager's office to work with the applicant to explore options for lighting.
That sounds good. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable from the applicant side. I believe in the last matter that was before the council, there was some language along the lines of, for the applicant to work with staff to see if a certain solution is feasible. I think a feasibility component might be useful there too.
to work with staff in the city manager's office on feasible lighting solutions.
That sounds wonderful.
And I think we noted that I think the council has expressed the potential willingness of the city to partner in those solutions.
Which we appreciate.
Cool.
So moved, including the adoption of the Sherwin-Williams appropriate red and black color palette.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Sander,
Aye.
Councilmember Budge,
Yes.
Councilmember Pulapati,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent, Mayor Gatewood.
Aye. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Oh, that's funny. All right, Stacy, can you go ahead and read the next subject?
Item number 19.1, Rancho Cordova Youth Center operations discussion.
All right. Cyrus and Megan, you guys are up.
Good evening, Council. I think just wanted to make a couple of introductory remarks. This is an exciting project that has begun construction. And as pointed out at the last presentation that we made to the Council, we have also begun the conversations with our teams, including the Boys and Girls Club and our the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office with the PAL office on some operational plans. We have made good progress, and our team is here tonight to give you an update and talk to you about the next steps. With that, I will turn it over to Megan Siren.
Good evening, Council. Megan Siren, Senior Management Analyst with the city, and we can advance to the next slide. So tonight's goal is just to provide a brief update on the Youth Center, to introduce our Youth Center partners for operation and discuss the current operations plan, and receive any feedback from Council and next steps. So just a brief history of the Rancho Cordova Youth Center. This project did begin with the gracious offering of the property from the Center of Praise Ministries to the city, which we do now have a lease for that property, and we're currently under construction for the improvements on the site, and those will go through summer of '22. We just want to show some brief diagrams just to reference and showcase the interior renovations that will occur. We will have a large recreation and game room, and additional classroom space for programming. And the outdoor features will include a perimeter security fencing, an outdoor basketball court, some covered seating, and a multi-sport field that is artificial turf. So we have been working with the Boys and Girls Club and Rancho Cordova Police Activities League on the operations plan for the Rancho Cordova Youth Center. It is anticipated that the Boys and Girls Club will be the primary operator and administrator of the Youth Center in partnership with the Rancho Cordova PAL. I'd like to introduce Kimberly Key from the Boys and Girls Club and Jose De La Cruz from Rancho Cordova PAL. They'll be going through the next few slides regarding the operations of the Youth Center.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood and members of City Council. We are very excited to be here today, and on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club and the Rancho Cordova Police Activities League, we are excited to share with everybody how our partnership and coming together will serve more youth and teens than ever before in Rancho Cordova. This partnership is really important to us. It's an opportunity for both agencies to really harness the power of our reputation, the strength of our relationships in the community, and our experience serving youth in Rancho Cordova and beyond to provide a safe place for our youth to thrive in school and beyond. So a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club. We've been serving youth throughout our region for 25 years. Our mission really to inspire all young people, but especially those kids who need us the most to reach their full potential. And we do that by providing a world-class experience that really ensures that our members are able to reach their full potential, that they're on track to graduate from high school with a plan for their future, that they're demonstrating leadership and good character in the community, and that they're living a healthy lifestyle. On the screen there, you will see a sampling of club programs that will be integrated into the youth center. And really, these programs are pulled from our core program areas: academics, healthy lifestyles, resiliency programs, leadership programs, diplomas to degrees and career launch, our college and career readiness, and our Lyricism 101, arts and culture, and digital literacy.
As previously stated, I'm Officer Dela Cruz with the Rancho Cordova Police Department, and I'm also the Youth Services Officer, and I'm the Director of our Rancho Cordova Police Activities League. I do want to apologize. Sergeant Meredith was here, and he was going to speak. However, he fell ill and had to I stepping in for him. So basically, Rancho Cordova PAL was created in 2009. So we've been a fixture in this community for over 12 years. And so partnering with the Boys and Girls Club has been truly a blessing, because we know with the power of both of our organizations and our connections with the community, we are definitely going to make a difference in the youth and their lives, and giving them the opportunities to grow and explore and just to be active. And so with that, on the right, you'll see some of the offerings that we have. We will have a PAL boxing program, as well as we'll be able to now house our Junior Giants program, as well as be creative in terms of using the basketball court for our own little dribblers, as well as using the artificial turf field to incorporate small leagues for soccer, as well as flag football. And just a place for kids in the community to come and just create those relationships that we need to build better citizens in the future.
So we wanted to share just a sample day in the life at the youth center. This is a sample daily schedule. We will be serving both elementary students and teenage members. And so what we really are doing is designing an after-school program where all age groups are able to move through the program offerings in any given day. Everything from the meals that they will receive to Power Hour, which is help with their homework and tutoring, to all of the enrichment programs that they will be able to participate in. You will also see on the daily schedule that we have designated spots for our community-based organization partners to come in and do dedicated programs. So our youth center by numbers, this gives you a snapshot into the operations. This youth center will be operating year-round. So at first, during the school year and the after-school hours from 3 to 7, during the summer months, operating camp from 8 to 6, PAL programs on the weekends, and of course, a variety of special events that will be held throughout the year. We anticipate our daily attendance to be around 125. I think once we're in the youth center and really start utilizing the space, we'll have a better idea on the capacity and, given safety protocols, how many kids will be serving in any given day. But we also know that beyond the after-school hours, we will be serving youth in a variety of different ways. And so there will be other youth that will be served through events and outreach and targeted programs. So we do anticipate serving over 5,000 youth each year. So our impact and vision, the idea for both agencies to come together really is an opportunity for us to broaden our reach and deepen the impact that we are having on the youth that we're serving. Both PAL and Boys and Girls Club serve youth currently in Rancho Cordova, and the idea of having them all under one roof and then being able to open it up to other Rancho Cordova youth and teens is something that we're all very, very excited about. Within the youth center, we will have a comprehensive approach to youth development and really providing some very specific things for our kids. A safe environment for them to be, a positive environment. You know, there will be a lot of programs where we will be wanting to ensure their academic success. So there's a lot of work that's going to be done within the youth center, but we want it to be fun, and it will be fun. And we want kids to really have a sense of belonging and know that this is their youth center, and it's something that they're going to be really, really proud of. It's an opportunity for them to really develop supportive relationships, relationships with law enforcement, with mentors. Some of our kids that we serve, when they come to their after-school program and participate in PAL programs, that they really oftentimes are the only real supportive mentors that they have in their life. So we really want to expand on that. The youth center will be a place of opportunity, us really being able to utilize our relationships in the community to bring opportunities to our kids that they may not get anywhere else. And the expectations that we have for them will be high. We want them to be successful, and we're going to help them every step of the way. And then recognition. We want to reward our kids for all of the hard work that they'll be doing.
And so, an important piece of our youth center is the partnerships that we will be fostering and creating with outside organizations that serve youth as well. And so, this is not the Boys and Girls Club and PAL show. So, this is open for all youth services, all organizations that offer programming. And so, some of our partners that you see on the right, Serve Sacramento, which is part of the church. And so they'll be offering programs as well as California PAL and mentoring and relationship building with law enforcement. And then, of course, we're just going to be open to any organization that is youth related that can provide, additional programming. That's why we have allowed that space for them to program in the youth center, because each unique partner that we will be working with will bring something different, right? And so we want to make sure that we are creative in our offerings to the youth, and that we keep a diverse program, right? And so that we keep youth interested and engaged. And so that is the power of community partnerships. And so we plan on doing as much as we can with as many organizations that fulfill that purpose and that mission.
Just to follow up with some next steps, we will be finalizing and working on the operating agreements with the Boys and Girls Club and PAL based on any feedback we received tonight. The renovations are currently underway, and in 22, we do anticipate doing some member outreach and registration with a grand opening celebration and programming beginning summer of 22. So we're happy to answer any questions or receive feedback from the council on the proposed operation plan.
All right.
And I forgot to mention, we were discussing it. We're going to offer swing dance at the youth center.
I already got it lined up.
We got you.
Well, thank you. I
We already
appreciate
got
it.
to connect with that organization, as a matter of fact.
Are you guys? Oh, because she's now a board member on the swing dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, kids are going to be lining up for that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. They won't know how to talk to each other, but it's going to be amazing. All right. Stacy, do we have any public comment?
I do.
Excellent.
I do not have any speaker cards for that item. And is there anyone in Zoom or by telephone that wishes to speak on this topic? I do not see any hands that are raised.
Well, council, I'm just going to say for myself, thank you for all the hard work you guys doing. I've been meeting with lots and lots of citizens this week, and they're very excited about the youth center and what we're about to do in the city. So thank you for partnering together. I see that area as being just this launching point of what the amazing pieces we can do as we pick up more land over there. There's so much to do over there, and once we prove the ID, I think we can really make that the youth corner of Rancho. Guys, what do you think? Siri, David.
Looks good. I don't see anything more that I can add after your enthusiastic interest and response, which is pretty much what every resident of Rancho Cordova is. So 2 thumbs up.
Yep. The only thing I'm gonna see, just to put it out there, because Siri and I believe in it, e-gaming. Talk about it later. Maybe the next round, a little room for computer gaming and nerdy stuff.
We got that covered as well.
Do you know what I'm saying? You got it on lock?
There's a computer
Yeah, okay,
lab
cool.
in the
That's,
proposal.
I'm excited. E-gaming. All right, David.
Yeah, I'm assuming we do not have like operational cost estimates here yet, which will be probably a significant matter we'll have to discuss at some future date.
That's
Sorry.
correct.
Excellent.
So the second question I have about it is, years ago, I think Kurt Haven and I were the emissaries to go to Boys and Girls Club and talk about what would it take to get a Boys and Girls Club facility in Rancho Cordova, and we visited Lemon Hill, I guess it is, and that site, and we sort of came away with the impression that, well, we needed about a $10 million facility, the city would have to come up with, and it would accommodate about 500 kids, was the sort of the program we walked away with. And so that was a problem on 2 fronts. We didn't have $10 million, and we had way more than 500 kids. So the question now is, as you foresee your operations here, is there some sort of a limit on how many kids you would see participating in your programs? Like, would you offer a membership, and once you get to a certain number, that's it? Everybody else is on a waiting list, or how would that work?
So the way that it would work is we need to identify what our capacity is and our staff ratio. And right now we're envisioning about 125 daily attendance. So we're going to have 75 on the teen side, 75 on the elementary side. The expectation is that kids come every day, right? They are going to benefit from the program the most with regular attendance. There is no doubt that we will have a waiting list. And so we have a process in which we go through the waiting list. If a family needs to take a break, or there's something going on, or there is a reason that they don't attend every day, then we work with a family. But we really want to be able to open up the waiting list and get kids in there that can be there every day. But when weather is good, and in the summer months, we do have the ability to serve more kids because we can utilize the outdoor space. And summer camp can look very different than during the school day.
So that may take a significant amount of discussions with our community to get them to understand. I think the average resident out there here's, youth center, and thinks on any given day, I can send my middle school kid there. If in reality, there's 125 who are allowed to enter, and everybody else has to wait until one of the 125 drops out, and then there's a slot open for them, that's going to be a particular challenge, I would say. I mean, Mills Middle School, just a block away, it's got 1,000 kids. The high school's got 2,000. Their elementary is now far away with thousands more. I don't know. That worries me a bit about the operating scenarios here.
Once we begin doing our outreach and holding orientations for parents, and I do understand the concern for the number of kids, but at the branches that we currently operate, we operate about, 150, 200 kids. And and we're in large communities, and, the kids do rotate in. For the older kids, the programming does look different. Our career launch week, if there are more teens, we can do it virtually. There are other options to be able to increase our numbers. But we are going to have to work with the space that we have.
Yeah, and I think that number is just in the same lines as just the capacity that the internal facility has. And so in terms of like, we have discussed like the drop-in issue that you've addressed. And so with that, it has to be it has to be a safe environment for all the kids that are attending. And so that comes with management of numbers, right? And those that are participating in the program. We want to be able to offer valuable programming that each individual youth gets something out of that programming. And so obviously capacity is going to be a question because this is an exciting new venture, right, between Boys and Girls Club PAL and the city of Rancho Cordova, and it's something that is non-existent currently. And so yes, it's going to be a destination for those kids. So, but within that, we also have to just look at numbers in general. What can we safely and realistically manage? And so that the capacity is kind of one of that roadblocks to that. But you know, we are always going to be open and willing to serve as many kids as we can, daily, monthly, yearly, and especially increasing our program outreach during the summertime.
Excellent.
We might want to give that some staff thought. If you approach a launch date and you've got 300 interested kids, if on the launch date the story is we've got room for 125 and the rest, another 175, go on the wait list, that becomes like a public relations problem for us and a process problem for us.
One of the things that will be really important for us to do is to sit down and discuss the way in which we will prioritize enrollment. And that's something that, you know, we will work together. We can work with schools. It's not unique, I think, to youth centers. It's not unique to Boys and Girls Club. There will be a way. We will have to figure out a way to prioritize enrollment.
Council, I think I can also envision a scenario where different other youth organizations have other programs at the different times of the day and or different days of the week. So there is, I think this is the core of the Boys and Girls and the PAL programming, but I can also see that other youth groups and youth organizations in the community will have access to the space. I think the reality is that this space, given the size and the square footage that we have, it's how many people, how many youth we can fit in that space at one time.
So here's just a thought for a backup plan. Let's say my scenario happens. We have 300 kids who want to do this, and we've got room for 125. Then 175 are hoping to do something and don't have space. We probably need to think about a stand-up operation at Mills after school to accommodate a bunch of them, or at Cordova if they're coming from there, or perhaps at an elementary school if they're coming from one particular elementary school, something that could accommodate that spillover. Maybe there would even be, I don't know, days of the week or times, as Cyrus just suggested, that would flux. But
and it could
I'm
be
uncomfortable thinking about saying no, like on day one of the startup. That scares me.
It could be an opportunity, and we've done this in South Sacramento, where, of course, we have our freestanding clubhouse, but to your point, there are more kids that need to be served. So we have taken the program on campus to be able to serve more kids. There's a potential that we could replicate the partnership on school campuses. That's absolutely a possibility.
That's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
If we start filling up too much and we have to offload into our junior highs and high schools, that's a beautiful problem.
Absolutely.
So, and I think one piece too that we're addressing is programming within the actual youth center. So when we talk about our classes and education and tutoring, computers, all of those are number managed. So, but what the other option is, what we would like to explore as well, is I think what we talked about already is like expanding when we do, like, for example, just physical activities, outdoor programming may not constitute like that number within the specific space of the youth center. So still being able to operate, those freestanding programs in the artificial turf field or basketball. And so running just a kind of rotating schedule of those activities that may not necessarily impact the internal capacity of the facility. So therefore expanding our numbers.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing sounds like a really great problem to have. David, if you consider that if there is a possibility that they could be over capacity on day one, I mean, that would be remarkable. And I seem to remember that Boys and Girls Club was offering programs at Navigator for a while.
We're still at Navigator.
Okay, all right. So there's no question that the school district is already familiar with that aspect of the Boys and Girls Club's program. So it just, this is such a new experience from us. You're right. It's taken us forever to get here, but we simply have to make a beginning somewhere and see what the response is. And if we are over capacity from day one, then we have to assess and pivot and figure out how to deal with it, because that would be great. I'd like to think that this isn't that popular, because what it says to me is kids who walk home to an empty house and decide to stop here on the way. And I suspect we have a whole host of those, especially, the kids coming towards the White Rock area. You'd like to think that there's somebody at home who says, sit down and do your homework, or gives them a snack or whatever, but maybe in today's age, that's not so much the reality anymore. So this is a great beginning. It seems like they've between the various organizations, everybody's tried to cover all of the standard needs that they can think of. And then if there are additional needs or additional capacity, then we have to figure out how to handle that too. But this is such a new thing for us. And you're absolutely right. This is a plan for programmatic operation. This is not a plan for M&O. It's not a plan for maintenance and operations or how many people. This is pretty much probably set by state guidelines, like you have in preschool and kindergarten. X number of kids needs X number of adult supervision. And if we have, don't I remember we've purchased some land across the street, Cyrus, on the north side of the street?
Yes, ma'am.
So if we have land.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have
so
acquired 2 pieces of property.
Okay, so if we have land over there and we need to expand, then that gives us options. But it sounds like they're making a great beginning, and trying their level best to accommodate what the need is. So I'm with Siri. This is a 2 thumbs up.
Excellent. All right. Let's see, is there anything else? Nope, that's good. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right.
Council, I just to clarify, we wanted to receive council feedback on the programming and what we're doing. Our next step is to develop the operating cost, and so we will be coming back to the council. And
Do you mind reaching out to Donald too? Because I know
Of course,
he
yeah.
had a big
yeah.
piece for this piece.
Of
Yeah.
course, we will do that. And
Well,
I'd
Cyrus,
also
can
want. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question? So in terms of maintenance and operation, because this is a partnership, are the people who are working to provide the guidance and the programs for the kids, are these volunteers? Are they people paid by their respective operations? Do we pay these people? What's kind of the overall scope of this thing?
And this would be all part of the future presentation that we will bring to you. Yeah, we want to be very clear on the operational plan, what it is that we're trying to accomplish, and once we have the blessing of the city council on that plan, then we would need to sit down and come up with the operational cost. That will be all encompassing. It will include the cost of, there would be some paid staff. There will also be some real operational costs and maintenance costs. You have to pay for the electricity and make sure that we keep the lights on. So this will all be coming back to you, so you have a very clear idea of what it is that the ongoing operation and cost obligation is for the city.
I appreciate that. It also sounds like we're going to need some fundraising talent.
Of course, and that's one of the things that both PAL and Boys and Girls Club are very good at. So we will certainly rely on them to do some of that for us.
Excellent.
Absolutely. We appreciate that.
All right, moving on. Stacy, are you ready to read the first subject?
I am. Item number 19.2, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Rancho Cordova and on behalf of commissions and committees created by the City Council pursuant to Government Code Section 54952B, confirming the state of emergency under Government Code Section 8625, recognizing continued measures to promote social distancing, and reauthorizing remote teleconference meetings of the city for the period from October 18th, 2021 to November 17th, 2021.
Adam?
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is an item that implements the AB 361. I think the agenda item, for the most part, speaks for itself. This item will not require staff or the city clerk's office or the city attorney's office to make any adjustments in the practices that you've been engaging in and complying with throughout the pandemic. The only change that the public may notice who watch this closely is that we will need to be readopting a resolution like this for the council to make a determination every 30 days that this state of affairs remains in place and that you need to continue to engage in these practices. So that means that as a practical matter, it'll be on every other council meeting and in some cases every council meeting.
Okay.
With that, I have the comments.
So this is, just to reiterate, this is the resolution that says that we should not come meet in the council and we should be meeting via Zoom, correct?
It authorizes you to do that. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, excellent.
Doesn't require, but authorizes. I just wish the state legislature would figure out that in some cases, public agencies in California are benefiting enormously from remote meetings. And the legislature is very reluctant to recognize that. And I don't know why. But
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Budge.
Yes.
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terry is absent. Mayor Gatewood.
No.
Oh, Garrett.
That's okay.
I miss you way too much. You should come back.
Oh.
Yes.
You
All
weren't
right.
supposed to meet in person. It won't
Does
be
anyone
long.
have any future agenda items?
No.
Okay. Good seeing everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Oh, we do have one. I want to suggest. I'm not sure we
So close to
have to suggest this, but the county is redistricting for county supervisorial districts,
Yes.
and I think we should discuss that and comment on it if you haven't already planned to do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
David, you're absolutely right. We need a presentation and a discussion on that one.
Yeah,
'Cause I know
you hear
there's
about
at least
how
one plan
they're
out there
you
that
hear
cuts
how
us
about
in
they're
three
how they're
pieces.
trying to redistrict they're talking about Rosemont and stuff and putting it in different jurisdictions. So I'd like to have a meeting on that.
Sure. In fact, Council, I have been in communication discussions with the county executive, and we have put our team in touch with the legislative affairs manager, and we will get some information, and we will probably ask them to present an item to the city council in near future.
Excellent.
Before they adopt it.
Absolutely. And what I can tell you also, they have done some technical analysis, but no maps have been drawn yet. So the maps have not
Wonderful.
been finalized, and the board has not adopted any new maps yet.
Excellent.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Meeting adjourned.
In favor of, in honor of.
Oh, in honor of the great Colin Powell.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.